Ali Yusuf of Djibouti and Richard Randiamandrato of Madagascar in the much anticipated debate, which will be televised across Africa from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. East Africa time. Raila, who was in high spirits during rehearsals for the debate, dubbed Mjadala Africa at the Africa Union headquarters, said he was ready to outline his vision for Africa, one that aligns with the goals of Agenda 2063, promoting a continent that is more connected, united, peaceful and prosperous ahead of the February 2025 elections. Now, President William Ruto strongly criticized those who accuse him of lying, especially those that criticize his performance. According to the president, such behavior threatens to further divide the country, and he demanded that his critics have evidence and facts to back up their claims. The president, too, admitted that there are challenges, nevertheless outlined the achievements of the government in the 2 years since he took office.
We encourage everyone, including our critics, to engage on the basis of facts and the truth. If some of us persist in the culture of reckless negativity, for how long will cynics mobilize Kenyans to deny facts that they can feel, that they can touch, and they can see? When we say that the cost of basic commodities has come down, it is a fact. When we say that Kenyans who have registered for Taifa Care are receiving better services than before, it is a fact.
President Ruto continued to defend the broad-based government sentiments shared by his deputy Professor Kithure Kindiki and Governor Johnson Sakaja.
Tutazidi na kujenga daraja ya umoja na ushirikiano kati ya Wakenya wote kutoka sehemu zote, dini zote.
Thank you for reaching out to as many stakeholders as possible to bring everyone on the table so that we can all pull in one direction of making sure that our country moves to the next level.
When these pictures of unity are seen, it increases investor confidence, it increases confidence in our country, peace and calm.
Nyandarua County Commissioner Abdirizak Jaldesa had a hard time reading President William Ruto's speech during the Jamhuri Day celebrations with the angry residents, disrupting the event, accusing President Ruto of betrayal. Despite pleading with them to allow him to read the speech, the residents walked away. Government officials had to intervene and provide security for Jaldesa, who quickly read the speech to the remaining residents.
Affordable housing is a strategic pillar of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Has so far created 200,000 jobs and thousands of indirect opportunity across the building.
Leaders initially complained of false promises and betrayal from the president.
Sisi watu wa Mount Kenya tulipambana na tukaweka mtu anaitwa William Ruto kuwa the president of the Republic of Kenya. Na after doing that, ile tuli-expect ni reciprocation. Na yeye pia atuheshimu na atupe heshima yetu.
Mambo ya barabara zetu, sana sana zile ambazo tuliahidiwa na serikali kuu, bado hizo barabara hazijakamilika.
In Rongo, Migori County, the Jamhuri Day event turned into a scene of violence after residents accused the local MP of poor performance.
After 1963, they became the right of their citizens.
Now, the Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo has been awarded the prestigious ICJ Kenya Jurist of the Year Award. Odhiambo was hailed for instrumental role in defending the rights of protesters during the nationwide anti-finance bill protest and securing the release of those arrested by providing pro bono legal services. She was also widely recognized for the role she played through LSK in leading the prosecution of Acting Inspector General of Police for contempt of court orders directing the release of the Kitengela 3. This led to the president setting conviction against the acting IG of police, which provides an instructive remedy against police malpractice. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe za baba, which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will, okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Lydiahs, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Patrick Lodge.
Opposite.
Ukisikiliza na unasikia? Opposite.
The Situation Room, Spice. The only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM. Kisumu.
Good morning, and you're listening to Spice FM. And the road situation today is Mombasa Road will be messy. This is due to the road construction that is happening between Simba Court and close to Airtel there. If you are using the road, either you leave right now because later it will be super messed up. The road has been dug up. It is a single lane as you approach Airtel. But other roads as we speak right now around Railways Bus Station, around the August Memorial 7th Park is getting busy by the moment. As well, if you go towards Jogoo Road, that is around the roundabout near Mudhuru and Boma Market, is equally getting busy by the moment. As well as other roads, on Ngong Road is flowing right now. All the bypasses are moving soft and clear, and around Thika Road as well is smooth. But if you are on the roads, talk to us if you see or experience any situations or incidences, and we shall be sharing with the Kenyans. But all in all, be safe.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Mambo VP, it's Friday the 13th. Let's just start from there. Pause. Wololo, wololo, yeah.
Elevators apanda.
Friday the 13th. Hivyo tu. Haya. Anyway, ni sawa. How are things going?
Good. Yourself? How was Jamhuri?
Jamhuried.
Yeah, I was part of the process yesterday, and yeah.
You're there?
Yeah.
At Okoh Gardens?
Yeah, from around 5 a.m. Yeah, so machi here and there. And yeah, pretty much.
How were the performances? I said that.
That was really, really good. Throwback. It was actually a proper throwback.
It was a good one.
It was a good one.
And it was very really well coordinated. I mean, the artists were coming in and going out. The set was very well done.
You know, we are planning to host the Grammys, so we must start somewhere.
We must show that we can put up a show. Were there any traditional dances? Because I only caught that.
No, I didn't see any traditional. There were no traditional dances. Because this year's Jamhuri Day was premised on job employment, shipping the same, exporting labor, and on entertainment. So I guess maybe they were looking at millennials. Yeah, because siko na Gen Z.
Sasa kwani hakuna millennial traditional dances?
Okay, according to the organizers, the only choir that was there was Status Choir.
There was a Status Choir?
Yeah, there was Status Choir.
What did they sing?
A national anthem.
Only?
National anthem. I think, and even when they were starting, they could be heard singing some good ballads as well. Maroon Commandos as well.
Of course, Maroon Commandos.
Yep.
So they didn't do those like...
Momboko.
Yeah, Kenya Momboko dances, those traditional things that we always used to sing. Vindu vichenjanga, my friends. Welcome everybody. Avin, have you started the live stream? Very good. Karibuni sana everybody. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. It is Eric Latiff and Dennis Aseto today. CT ameenda kucheza golf.
Wow. He's teeing.
What is this? Jamhuri, surely let me cheza golf. And Ndu is still under the weather, and she's coming around. God willing, she'll be here.
She will be here, inshallah.
Yes. So let me tell you what we shall discuss today. We shall have a conversation about workplace gender-based violence at 7 a.m. Catherine Menganyi, who is a nurse and a GBV advocate and women in global health, Kenya chapter lead, will be here at 7 a.m. alongside Martin Kingoro, who is a psychologist at Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. Those two, 7 a.m. and the conversation is around workplace gender-based violence. And then at 8 o'clock, we shall have a conversation about the role of Tujiajiri in tackling youth unemployment in Kenya. We've been talking about this, the KCB Foundation, and the work that they've done in, addressing matters of unemployment and just coming up with the Tujiajiri program a couple of years ago. The director of the KCB Foundation, Mendi Njonjo, will be joining us at 8 a.m. to have a conversation with us around this. 9 o'clock, Adolescent Health and Suicide Prevention and Alliance ahead. We will have Dr. Angela Migowa, who's an adolescent health specialist and consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital at 9 a.m. so we can talk about adolescent health and suicide prevention. Those are the conversations for today. Unasikiaje?
Kabisa mzito, but timely.
Yes.
Timely, yes.
Each of them is a timely conversation. Each of them. So we'll be telling you more about it. Hey, say hello to Eric and Dennis, and say hello to Avin is our Lydiah today. And Lydiah has been our Ednah. So from Ednah to Lydiah to Avin. Karibu sana. And also say hello to Asha and everybody else who is walking around this morning. It is 17 minutes after 6. Let's take a look at the weather forecast, and then we'll say hello to everybody who's joining us. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
And the weather situation today in Nairobi is highs of 27 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. In Kakamega County, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. Now we go straight to coast, where we'll be experiencing highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. That is pretty hot. In Mombasa and Nyeri town, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 13 degrees. Let's go to the lakeside city of Kisumu, where we'll be experiencing highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. Now across the borders to Kinshasa, Congo, city's favorite city, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 22 degrees. Lagos, Nigeria, highs of 33 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. And we go to Paris, France, highs of 4 degrees and lows of 1 degree. Pretty cold in Paris, France. That is your weather.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 19 after 6. Say hello to the people. Who's online?
And good morning, Carol Nyambura. Good morning, everyone. Nawapenda sana, wishing you a blessed day ahead. Tunakupenda pia, Carol. And Ahmed, hello from Ottawa. Fraud is not a leadership model. That is according to Ahmed. And Uncle says that he's following from Washington, United States. And Chamgay, my beautiful people, from the beautiful hills of Saboti, Trans Nzoia, huko ni kwa natembea. And Byron Otieno, Ndu went to Dubai. No, Ndu is under the weather. We wish her a quick recovery. And morning, Spice. Ndu akoaje? Ndu is getting better, still under the weather. And good morning. Almost forgot to tune in, thinking it's a weekend. Everything looks like a weekend. If it looks like a weekend, it is a weekend. Now, good morning, gentlemen. How's Ndu doing? She's doing very well. And yes, you deserve an update. She's getting better. And greetings, team TSR from Kilimambogo View, aka Juja Farm. Mongera to you, N class of 2024. They are graduating, and to all the graduates, we wish you the very best. Kujeni hapa nje. Now, good morning, Spices. What happened yesterday? Couldn't get you guys. Jamhuri. And good morning, my favorite journalist of the century, tuned in from MIT, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Where? Massachusetts. But Massachusetts, yes, indeed. And good morning, George Adimo, Omondi Adimo Rajula. Good morning, listening from Rongo. I don't read unit. I see what betrayal is. All right. That is Adimo from Rongo. Now, good morning, Situation Room. And you're getting us loud and clear from Phony, Texas. That is James Kamau. And good morning from Mombasa, Robert Mbogo. Jacqueline Isanda. Hello, Spice FM. Hello to you. Missed you Thursday. Hope Jamhuri Day was rousing success. Yes, it was really, really good. Good morning and happy Friday, Spice family. We must focus forward and please let us learn how to accept criticism. JB Mbuta, I see where you're headed. And good morning, Kenya, Team Spice, Nawatwa Embu, Jimega Kio, Collins Kemei, good morning. Greetings from Doha. How come Uhuru Park was more policed than citizens? Very well. And R. Mpo, Tupo, Upo. And Michael Olande, good morning, Kenya. Dominica Buga, good morning to you too. Now, don't sub after Chaweri, it is the church. What next? That is according to Don Sabwa, saying hi to City, Eric Dennis and Lydiah Tuko Hapa. Now, greetings from Dubai, Byron Otieno. And good morning. Happy Jamhuri Day, Ndu, Chieng, City, Muga, Latiff, yes, Desmond Ortiz, good morning to you too, and Cyprian Kambuni. Greetings from Dayton, Minnesota. Continue listening into Spice FM. We are here to give you conversations that are timely. But as for now, Paulo Kello just texted and says good morning from the hills of Oma Bay.
Oma Bay.
Oma Bay.
Oma Bay.
Sawa. You know Oma Bay, pia wanasemaga ni HB.
Yeah. It's from the Bay.
From the Bay.
He's at the Bay. Oh, he's in the Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sawa. Karibuni sana, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. So City is away, and there's a day I was away this week when he was doing the Lesotho proverb, so I didn't catch that proverb for that day. But I hope it's not this proverb.
Which one is it?
Listen to the proverb. Right. We are still in the kingdom of Lesotho.
Lesotho.
He calls it Lesotho. Right? This one is a kingdom, right? It's a kingdom, okay? The proverb for today, what the people think cannot be denied.
That's a new one.
It's a new one? Okay. And no. It will not be based on anything that you've had recently. No. What the people think cannot be denied. Okay?
Okay.
Can you tell us what's on the front page of the Standard today?
Now, the front page of the Standard, that is Kenya's bold newspaper, and lies versus facts. Ruto's fresh war on critics. Now, President Ruto touted the key achievements of his administration when he led Kenyans in marking 60 years, 61. There is that confusion. But KDF walisema 61.
It is 60 years since a republic. 61 since, there was something. There was a 12th December 1963 and 12th December 1964.
64, all right. Now, rallying them around with administration's bottom-up agenda, whose project he declared are just starting to mature. But the president also fired a warning shot to his critics, telling them to stop spreading false and disinformation and instead base their criticism on facts. That's according to the president. That is smack in the middle of the Standard. And the Karua defense of Kibaki and how we fell out. Now, in the 2007 contested election, Martha Karua went all out to defend President Mwai Kibaki's vote. This is in Karua's book Against the Tide that she launched just the other day. And still on that, Raila faces AUC chair seat rivals in live debate today from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It will be broadcasted across Africa as he will be going against two other candidates. That is the guy from Djibouti and from Madagascar as well. And now, fresh fears of job losses in CEO's outlook. Still losing jobs in the country. Why do you think that's the case, Eric? High cost of doing business?
Things, it's facts.
It's facts.
That's just it. Stick with facts. Please.
Yeah, and Man City Wolves deepen after Juve thrashing. That is what you will get on the front page of the Standard. Eric, what do you have?
Buana, I don't have this other, even the screenshots of these other papers, Buana. But when I get them, I'll tell you more about them. So we can look at those stories because they're interesting. The Standard has done some very good pictorial coverage of yesterday's Jamhuri Day celebrations from across the country. On page 2 and page 3, they had Kisii County Commissioner Joseph Kibet sharing a cake with the Deputy Governor Elijah Obebo at Nyanturago, the Rivari Church. That's where that happened. Marsabit, Governor Mahmoud Ali in celebrations at a Township Primary School in Moyale. Then there was Suna West DCC, Rebecca Ndirango, joining pupils from Nyamome Junior School during Jamhuri Day celebrations at Kababu Grounds in Migori County. Where is Kababu Grounds?
Kababu.
Yeah, Jamigori.
Jamigori. I actually don't know.
Yeah?
I just know the disease grounds where usually goes to.
Kababu Grounds.
But there is that bread eating
What's the headquarters of Migori County?
Headquarters?
Yeah.
I think it's Migori Town.
For both the assembly and the...
Yeah, it's in Migori Town, yeah.
Migori Town?
Yeah.
So maybe Kababu Grounds is right there in Migori Town.
Yeah.
Because Nyamome Junior School would be where?
Nyamome, yeah. It's just outside the town Kidogo.
Bas.
Yeah.
Okay. Then people at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Sports Ground in Kisumu decided we are going to have a competition.
Yes.
This competition is kukula mukati na soda.
It was zero diet.
Yeah, zero diet. And I have a photo here of the guys who were just taking it on. I wonder what they won. What was the winner taking?
Another soda and bread.
Aye. Okay. So those are the stories.
There is that pictorial, really interesting.
Which
one? If you can just see the bottom right of page 2.
Yeah.
That is former Treasury CS Njuguna Ndungu, Acharya Shri, that name, and former CS Treasury Njuguna Ndungu. They were in Nairobi, and they were celebrating something. So yeah. Amefunga kilemba.
Jitendriya Priyada Sasji Swamji Maharaj. That is one person.
Yes.
Acharya Shri Jitendriya Priyadasji Swamji Maharaj.
Yes.
Hey.
And Treasury CS, former Treasury CS Njuguna Ndungu.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
What did you think about
interesting.
The yesterday's Jamhuri Day celebrations? You see here we have, especially the entertainment aspect of it. You can see kuna dawa hitmaker Esther Wahome and the entire entertainment yesterday.
I think that was a great set. I watched it. I didn't catch it from the very beginning, but the bits that I got, I liked the flow, I liked the sequencing, I liked the MC.
Yeah.
He was, on top, on point, and I liked the fact that it was a live band.
Yes. And you see, everything was modular, actually. You see that stage? It was actually set, I think, a minute before the entire entertainment started.
Wow.
Yeah, because everything was just being wheeled to on the ground.
Earlier, it was the military guys.
Military guys, yeah.
I think it was very well coordinated and
Yes.
very well done. It was very well done, and the many dancers and all of them, the choreography, they did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, let's acknowledge when people do a good job.
That was really good.
Now there are some people who now started going online and saying, "Wacha tusalimie hawa watu," because they are. Come on, I don't agree with that.
Same here.
I don't agree with the fact that we start now saying these artists should not be performing. Look, it's a national celebration.
It is.
It is not a Ruto celebration.
No.
You have a problem with Ruto and Kenya Kwanza? Okay, yeah. But on this particular day, it's Jamhuri Day. And we cannot do away with Jamhuri Day.
Yes.
And the Jamhuri Day, the head of state is going to address and is going to attend it.
Yeah.
Right? He's attending it as the symbol of the head of state. And we are marking 61 days of Jamhuri as a country. I mean,
for once, even the president himself, if you listen to his speech, he actually spoke about the entertainment industry, and he addressed one issue that continues to affect artists out there, which is always about royalties. How companies that collect royalties have millions, but when it comes to artists getting for their money for their hard work, they get meager pay due to that. And he said it's about time that is addressed. So even for the artists who are there, hearing the president speak to such matters, it was really refreshing.
Yep.
The only thing that we can hope is that the president follows up with his promise and what he said, and that he gets to work on it so that our artists get to have a better life out there.
Yeah. Let's take a break at 29 minutes to 7. You will tell us what's happening on the roads, right?
All right.
Those guys called Shovels and Travels are still digging up the road.
They're trolling.
Shovels and trowels.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness. Oh my God. Anyway, tell us how it's looking like.
Yeah, and
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice FM, Malindi.
And traffic along Mombasa Road is piling up at the moment, especially from Imara Daima as you approach Airtel area is bumper to bumper due to the road construction that is ongoing there. The road has been dug up. Trowels and shovels are really doing that. And the road has been reduced to a single lane. So if you're approaching Mombasa Road, be careful while at it. But we go to other roads, Landis Road around Mudhurwa area going towards Moi Avenue roundabout there is busy by the moment, and as well Railways roundabout is busy and there's traffic piling up. You go to around Thika Road and Muthaiga Square around Pangani is busy, and as well if you look at Wairimu as well from University of Nairobi going up is getting busy by the moment, and Ngong Road is flowing, Jogo Road is flowing as well. You can talk to us and let us know how the situation is on the road, but as of now that is your traffic.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM,
right,
Nairobi.
A story. Which one do you want to tell us about this morning?
Very well. I think the biggest story is from the president's speech yesterday when he went hard on critics of his government, and we just go to page 4 of the Standard where President rebukes critics, highlights achievements in housing and jobs. Now, President William Ruto presided over his third Jamhuri Day celebrations amid growing criticism and political realignment. Now, realigning from sustained criticism of his administration's projects over the last 2.5 years, Ruto took the opportunity to address his critics. He accused them of mounting opposition on his transformative agenda based on inaccurate representation of facts and outright disinformation. Now, the president goes out to say, I see clearly that a lot of what passes for facts or falsehoods, and that most opposition is based on inaccurate representation and outright disinformation. We are at the stage in social development when digital technologies have immense capacity to amplify disinformation, magnify fake news, and distort facts beyond all recognition. If we give into these emerging negative trends, we shall pay with our freedom, democracy, and development.
Everything he said there is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's true that, misinformation and disinformation are very, very dangerous.
Yes.
Because, you distort facts and you can then sway people in a certain direction.
Yeah.
But that happens when there is insufficient information.
Yes.
You see? When there is insufficient information or convincing information, then that there is room for disinformation and misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
And how to fight misinformation, disinformation is give information.
Yes.
Now, how well is the government doing in that? Okay. So yes, and he said, for example, our inflation rate has come down. Fact. It's fact. It's fact on paper. What the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has done, and they look at those basic issues.
Yeah.
The cost of basic commodities has come down. Are people feeling the cost of basic commodities has come down?
Mm-hmm.
Are we saying that with 1,000 bob earlier in the year, I was going home with 3 items, but with 1,000 bob in December, I'm going home with 5 items?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we are saying? Because if that's what we are saying, then people don't need to argue.
Yeah.
They'll be saying, well, I can remember, I can recall. And with that, maybe it's for the government to come and break down and say, remember where we were? Can you see where we are?
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, you don't need to be reminded.
Exactly.
The cost of basic commodities has come down, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I have more purchasing power with the same amount of money? Do I have access to the same incomes that I had earlier? Right? Is that improving? Yes, we've been having the affordable housing program, and across the country, housing units have been coming up. The ministry has been publishing on the paper the houses that are getting to completion and people to buy. Publishing on the paper, how many people have access to the paper? Are we saying that out of the 8 billion shillings that is collected every month to go into the housing project, that there was no amount of money that could have been set aside for communication and go all the way to the ground, go to community radio stations and say, look, these houses in your neighborhood are getting completed, and we urge you to go on to Boma Yangu, register, start booking for a house.
This is pretty much how to go about it.
Yeah. Say, come on certain Saturday, we have an open day. People who are developing houses in this country have open days.
Yes. And they have show houses.
And they have a show house ready. There's an open day. Come on this day. Come, we take you around. We show you the houses and we show you the show house. Come and see the show house. Enter. See how we have done even the mock furnishing. Look at how that house feels like. Right? Then we tell you, this is what you need to do to own a unit here. Have you seen the State Department for Housing doing that? Maybe they're doing it, but I just don't know.
You just don't know. And that is where disinformation and misinformation comes in.
Because people just see those things out there.
Yeah.
Only the guys who go and work there. In fact, even the people who work there, they know we are jengaing houses.
Yes.
But they're all jenga houses. They are the same ones who are jengaing houses for the private sector. And they're the ones who are jengaing houses in this public sector. Okay. When they go back home, are they going back home to say, actually, these houses on certain Saturday, you can come and see?
Yeah.
Are they your biggest advocates for those houses? Are they as loud as louder than the critics?
And the most important thing about even these houses that you're talking about, how have you involved the people such that they understand your idea when it comes to building these houses? Or is it your idea? The only person who understands it is you.
Yeah.
You know, others just have to be allocated houses and buy houses and we move.
I think this is... So what the president is saying, from next week, he'll start handing over the keys.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It will be accompanied by that skepticism.
Yeah.
Like, so, who are these people?
What criteria did you use?
Yeah, how did they get these houses? Because you're not coming out to say that this is what happened. This was a journey. You went to the Boma Yangu platform, you registered, this is when we did the what do you call that thing? Kuzungusha drum.
Raffle.
Yes, this is how we did the raffle and determined that this house, we had 10 people who had applied and there were 3 houses. Out of those 10 people, these are the 3 that got the house. The 7 that did not get those houses will go back home saying, Ikitu.
Yes.
Ilikuwa ukora. So if you're not open throughout, then this is what is going to happen. So, Mr. President, look, it is not that people are, just sitting back and thinking, we want to destroy our country with misinformation and disinformation.
And you see, also yesterday in his speech, the president spoke about the UHC, Universal Healthcare, and how millions of Kenyans are now registered to on the platform Taifa Care, right?
Yeah.
And there is difference, Eric, in registering on Taifa Care, but there's difference in accessing
the service
healthcare.
of Taifa Care.
So here's a question where, as much as millions of Kenyans have been registered on Taifa Care, on SHA, but how about the access to healthcare? That is where rubber meets the road. Because if I'm unable to go to hospital, I wear glasses, right? And my glasses cost around 16,000 shillings. When you're telling me that I can only get 900 shillings, what will that do for me for that pair of glasses that I need for me to be able to work and move around? Is that access to affordable healthcare?
Listen to what he said. When we say that the cost of basic food commodities has come down, it is a fact.
Yes.
Okay. When we say that inflation has gone down, it's a fact. When we say that our farmers are producing more and better, it is a fact. When we say that Kenyans who have registered for Taifa Care are receiving better services than before, it's a fact. Are they? We encourage everyone, including our critics, to engage on the basis of facts and truth. Hashtag, I can see Denise Utumbi here. Hashtag system your facts. Okay. If some of us persist in the culture of reckless negativity, for how long will cynics mobilize Kenyans to deny facts that they can touch, feel, and see? Now, you see, that's the thing. If people can touch, feel, and see, it doesn't matter. If I can see this is a cow, I milked it this morning and it produced milk,
Yeah.
You can't come and tell me, by the way, you know that thing you've been milking is a goat.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to tell you where
Acha.
unataka kuniambia sijui ng'ombe yangu. But you can't tell me that if I went to the market and I'm spending less than I was spending prior, I am purchasing more with the same amount of money that I was purchasing goods prior. And if I go to the market, I'm finding that, I'm a farmer, I'm producing more and I'm getting more out of my farm. You don't have to convince me.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you, yes, I know. Last year I grew maize and this is how much. This year I'm growing maize, this is how much I'm getting. Or I'm in the need of sukuma wiki and this is how much I'm selling.
Yeah.
People would be saying I have more money in my pocket. Soko imekuwa mzuri. The room for criticism and cynicism would be gone anyway. So something else happened yesterday.
Yeah.
We know we've been talking about January is coming.
Yes.
And the issue of grade 9s is a big one.
Yes.
And the government has been working extra hard to make sure that they complete classrooms across the country to accommodate these grade 9s that are coming in. Nairobi County is one of those counties, okay? The governor of Nairobi County, for some reason, he decided to talk about the classrooms.
Yeah.
And he said that Nairobi MPs have been given 1 billion shillings to build new primary school classrooms, and the county government is also building 1,500 classrooms. Why is the county government building 1,500 classrooms? Yeah, there's a need. Yes, we don't die. There's a need, okay? Is it a partnership that they've signed with the national government? Is it a conditional grant that they've received from the national government? Why are you diverting money from the county to do a national government
job? Yeah.
Okay. The governor also lauded the school feeding program dubbed Dish in a County for increasing enrollment of children into schools. This one, I've always argued that Sakaja can say, okay, I have a responsibility as a county government for nutrition and, those things.
Yes.
So I can say that this is my nutrition program.
Yeah.
For the children. All right? So it's not about education. I'm not funding education. I'm funding nutrition and health. And that's why, in fact, the minister in charge of it is the minister in charge of health. Okay? This one I can say, Sakaja, you can say, this. I'm not doing education. But building classrooms, that's doing education.
Yeah.
Why are you building 1,500 classrooms with the county money?
With the county money, yeah.
How much else could, how much of market cleanup could this money have done? How much of road repairs could this money have done?
This comes as the government races against time to complete construction of 11,000 classrooms for junior secondary school across the country to enable transition of CBC students to grade 9. Deficit of 11,000 classrooms, and grade 9 is in January.
And we knew. It's not a new thing. From the moment the president said, listen, JS is going to be domiciled in primary schools, it was clear that there was going to be a class that is needed.
Yes.
All right? So this is last year into this year. And now we are racing against time to complete those classrooms now.
Yes.
It's not that the budget, we have just started the financial year in November. The financial year began in July. The previous financial year had started in July. So, these are things that you ask yourself, but why are we rushing? Why are we always in a rush like this?
I think it's not even that we are always in a rush. Eric, goes to beg the question, do we ever plan for anything?
We do. We do. We just plan, but we don't do.
Yes. Because we knew that grade 9 is coming. When did you start thinking about putting up classrooms? We thought about it by the time when we said JSS will be domiciled in primary school. But did we ever start acting on that thought process? No, we did not. Kwa grau mambo ni tofauti. On paper, tuko na mipango.
It's for example, the conversation that we keep having here and asking the questions with the rollout of UHC, all right? So UHC is a conversation that's been happening since the Kibaki days.
Yes.
And the Kibaki days, they just did not push it. They just said, all right, so we'll need, at some point, once we do a couple of things, we'll need to look at now how to roll out UHC. Uhuru comes in and says, UHC, let's go. In his second term, he says, UHC is what I'm going to do. He has a pilot in 4 counties. They produce the report, and the report just sits there. Ruto comes in and says, UHC is big, but we need to look at it different. We need to overhaul this thing. We need to work on a system. All right. If you listen to the arguments, you can pick out some sense here and there. We came up with several laws. We say that we are going to have, for example, data. How are we going to manage that data? We need to have digital systems to manage the data. Okay. We need to look at how do we ensure that facilities are continuously improving, and they don't run out of cash. Facility improvement fund. Create that. Okay. How do we make sure that people actually focus? UHC is more focused on the primary level.
Yes.
That's preventive, promotive healthcare. And just come in and go back home, right? So let's have the community health workers.
Promoters,
There's community health promoters. Let's look at the primary health facilities and make sure that we have them sorted. Okay, we shall create a primary health fund. Sawa. This primary healthcare fund, we are not going to burden people with come to just do a checkup whether we're going to malaria and go back home and be paying. No. What we are going to do is we are going to make sure that this is taxpayer funded through the exchequer. So you go to your local health unit, health facility, dispensary, go back home. You're sorted. All the services are available there. If you need referral, you're taken up. And that's when you start using the social health insurance, when now there's admission and more checkups needed, and and if in case of an emergency or chronic or critical illnesses, there's another different fund, and this one will also be exchequer funded. Sawa. The president says, we have successfully transitioned 5.6 million citizens from the National Health Insurance Fund and registered 11 million Kenyans under the Social Health Insurance Fund. This means that in just 2 months, 11 million Kenyans who previously lacked access to healthcare services are now registered, with the registration process going on full steam in every part of Kenya. All right, so now that they are registered, what does that mean? So once you register for SHIF, because this is what he's saying, we are registered for SHIF. This is where I say communication, even from government, is all confused. When you talk to the chair and the boss of the Social Health Authority, what you're registering for is Social Health Authority. Okay? In it, you shall contribute to SHIF, but through that registration, that's how they are able now to start capturing your data at primary healthcare level. Which means that just because you're registered for the Social Health Authority, when you go to your local dispensary, they will be able to capture your data. And in the event they need to transfer you to level 4, 5, 6, where you'll use SHIF, they will just have your data. And that data then they can reconcile with SHA for what pays what.
Yes.
So you've registered. The president is not calling it registered for SHA. He's calling it registered for SHIF. And he's saying because you've registered for SHIF, now you have access to health. Are people paying? Are these 11 million people contributing to SHIF? Okay. When they go to the local health facility, which is a primary healthcare facility, and they go back home, who's paying? Is the National Treasury releasing money to actually fund that primary healthcare? How is that linked with the county? Because the counties have been running health. This is where now that confusion comes in.
Yes.
And it will come to a head when you get to a point where now people are asking, I have come to this facility and I'm going back home, and SHA says it doesn't have money. It's running out of cash. What happened? Those are the questions. So The president says that Nyeri, Bomet, Embu and Lamu are the leading in Taifa Care registration, but Marsabit, Garissa, Mandera, West Pokot and Turkana are posing low registration numbers and is urging the people from these counties to register for the scheme. He insists that Taifa Care will help Kenyans access healthcare services without discrimination of any kind, in emphasizing that the program has accurately determined the cost of each healthcare service and product, ring-fence resources for equipment and facility improvement, leverage digital technology to radically enhance the management, coordination and delivery of healthcare, promoting efficiency, transparency, inclusivity and sustainability. Yet this week, we've seen the digital platform. There's still issues.
Yes.
We have, the Adani guys. There's a new player who's coming in.
Yes, the fourth player?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing is not working, this and the other. At the same time, Dennis, I put that story on page 6. That's a column there on education.
Page 6. Page 6. Or these on the parents.
Shift. Yes.
Now, parents will be required to accompany their children to school in January to register them for the Social Health Insurance Fund. Now, President William Ruto issued the directive during Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi, and announced that 16.6 million Kenyans have already been enrolled in the new scheme. Now, he said, and I quote, "I'm asking all parents when learners report back to school to accompany their children. Taifa Care requires all Kenyans to have medical coverage, and we want to register all children to better plan for their health needs." Pretty much the president saying, actually there's this discussion with Kenyans there immediately after the event, and they were asking, does it mean that my child will not be able to access education because they're not registered on shift? And you see, this is something that was not so clear. Now, misinformation because there is no communication from you.
So number one, the parent registers. I register for the Social Health Authority and I list my dependents. Because SHA is household. So I list my dependents. I list my spouse and my children. Okay?
Yes.
Now, if I've listed them already, why do I need to take this child to go with the child to school?
To school.
To do what? So that I can show that I'm... What for?
What for is the big question.
So let's say, yes, that these children are going back to school and they're not registered. Okay? So yeah, the parents have not registered. How would the headmaster know that this child has been registered or not?
Yeah.
Are we saying that these headmasters are also getting access to the health information system?
And they're getting access to that data under what law? Because we know the custodian of the law of this data.
Yeah. So how will a school headmaster know that these children are not registered?
Yeah.
And why does the parent have to come with the child to register?
Yeah.
And it's I can see what the logic here is. The logic here is this is a captive area. It's a school, it's a captive area. You have all these thousands of children. These thousands of children come from households. So this is the best place to register people for households. But now when you say to your child, you must come with your child so that your child can be registered, you're twisting the conversation.
Yeah.
You should be saying we are actually going to make it easier for you to register at schools.
At schools, yeah.
So go to your school and register yourself because it's going to be...
Yes, we will be having a day dedicated to those who have not registered.
Those who have not registered.
Yeah.
So just come on that day, come register. But making it that you come so that you can register your child.
Your child.
That's incorrect.
Yeah.
That's not the right information. The right information is that come so that we can register you and your household. It is the parent who's been told, come register you and your household. Hey. Hasa hapa ndio makizungumkuti. This is where now that we continue having misinformation, disinformation. Watoto watafukuzwa shule because the headmaster ameambiwa kama hajakuja na mzazi aende alete mzazi.
And you see, Eric, at the end of the day,
mtoto comes to school anafukuzwa shule. Nimefukuzwa kwa nini? Sija register Asha.
Huku nipeleka shule. And you see, Eric, what this does is people will go to court. And they will go to court to demand explanation on who is the custodian of this data, Data Protection Authority, to give their own view on the same. Because how does a headmaster then have access to data that they shouldn't? And how is the government also planning around resources in making sure that all these schools have all these machines and equipment to register parents into the portal?
You imagine schools opening on which day?
Early January. Let's just say third, fourth.
How many primary schools do you have in Kenya?
Exactly.
Not even those secondary.
Yeah.
How many primary schools do you have in Kenya? So on that opening day, are you telling me that you shall have all those registration centers open to actually capture data and register all these people on that day? How will you be telling that this one actually has registered already, this one has not? That means that you just have to query the system, query the system. And if you can query the system, why did you tell this person to stop doing their work and come and queue for 4 hours so that you can query the system and find, last week this person had actually gone to a hospital and they'd registered there?
And remember, they're coming to query a system that already is being said to be having hitches.
I don't know.
It is biting itself, Eric.
I don't know. These are good things that are just bungled at implementation. And I think that's usually the problem. It's not that the idea is bad. It's just the idea is all right. The implementation, including communication, is not good.
It's not.
It happens in government, it happens in the private sector. The communication is the last thing that people think about. But communication is the most important bit if you think about rolling out a new. Because you've got to think, who are the critical stakeholders? What information do they need? How can I break down this information to all of them so that they get the buy-in as we are rolling out a project?
And how do I make it that they understand the importance of what it is I am pushing, that they bring themselves to register? Because remember, you can register for SHIF and SHA from the comfort of your home.
You can.
Yeah.
You don't have to go queue.
You don't have to go queue in school.
Have you seen any advert anywhere on the media? Have you heard anywhere? Have you even seen even on social media?
I've only heard that in president's speeches.
Go dial star, because I think I remember the, what's that? It's a short code.
Yeah.
Star, it's a USSD. Star something hash, and you're able to register. That's all they need to be spreading. Just register this, star, blah, blah, hash, register, go through the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. People assume these things, and people are always reminded. At the beginning, at the onset, when Safaricom was now becoming a big thing, it was selling airtime, scratch cards. Safaricom did adverts on how to load airtime.
Star 141.
What's a star 141? You have bought a scratch card. How do you scratch this card? They had to do an ad on how to scratch
and you have to be tender.
And people wondering, you're teaching us how to scratch a scratch card? And Safaricom said yes, because many times people are rough.
Yes.
They miss a digit.
Yes.
They try and enter that digit and they think that they don't have airtime.
Yes.
That they bought a fake scratch card. So we have to tell them this: when you buy the scratch card, this is where you scratch at the back of this. This is how you scratch, and then this is how you load that. Evo, step by step. Government is assuming.
And in the event that you make a mistake and you over scratched it, this is the process.
This is what you do.
Yes.
Yeah. It was simple, clear, straightforward. Same thing you'd have expected with SHA rollout. Same thing you'd have expected with Boma Yangu.
Yes.
How do I book for a house under the affordable housing program? This is how you do it.
What are the terms
No
and
information like that. Next week you'll see people getting houses and we'll start having another series of conversations. Awani nani wamepoa nyumba, 7 a.m.
Sister Newswire, I'm Edwin Lisamira.
Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Bomet, Embu and Lamu counties are leading in Taifa Care registration. President William Ruto made the revelation on Thursday during the Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. Ruto encouraged Kenyans in counties lagging behind in the registration exercise to sign up.
I commend Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Bomet, Embu and Lamu, the 5 leading counties so far in Taifa Care registration. At the same time, I encourage the people of Marsabit, Garissa, Mandera, West Pokot and Turkana, who have the least registered members, to mobilize, register and take advantage of the benefits of this transformation program.
The president further emphasized that Taifa Care guarantees healthcare access for all registered citizens without any form of discrimination, saying the new health scheme is inclusive, universal, efficient and transparent.
We have successfully transitioned 5.6 million citizens from the National Health Insurance Fund and registered an additional 11 million Kenyans under the Social Health Insurance Fund. This means that in just 2 months, 11 million Kenyans who previously lacked access to healthcare services are now registered, with the registration process going full steam in every part of Kenya.
President William Ruto has urged Kenyans to base their criticism of the government on truth and verifiable facts, warning that divisive narratives could undermine the country's progress. Speaking during the 61st Mashujaa Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Ruto said he's open to criticism as long as it's based on facts. He blamed digital platforms for amplifying disinformation and spreading propaganda about various government projects and policies. The president urged critics to acknowledge the tangible progress made by his administration.
We encourage everyone, including our critics, to engage on the basis of facts and the truth. If some of us persist in the culture of reckless negativity, for how long will cynics mobilize Kenyans to deny facts that they can feel, that they can touch, and they can see? When we say that the cost of basic commodities has come down, it is a fact. When we say that Kenyans who have registered for Taifa Care are receiving better services than before, it is a fact.
Workers at the Nzoia Sugar Factory downed tools to protest against the dismissal of their Secretary General Bernard Yaola. Led by the factory's chair, Benjamin Aduda, the workers demanded the dissolution of the board for allegedly ignoring their grievances. The protest temporarily halted operations at the factory.
Na sheria inaniruhusu mimi kuwa kwa hiki kiwanda niwakilishe wewe mwenye ulinichagua. Wamesema kwamba board of directors wenye wako Nzoia hawawezi kutana around Nzoia hii ianze ku make profit. So msimamo vile nimesema ni kwamba board iende, wafanyikazi hawa vile mnawaona wamejitolea kufanya kazi bila safety gears. Wengi wao wako zile viatu zinaitwa Crocs.
The acting CEO akuja hapa na address na revoke ile barua walipea branch secretary
US President Joe Biden has issued presidential pardons to 39 Americans convicted of non-violent crimes. Biden also commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 Americans, including several convicted of multi-million-dollar fraud schemes, in what the White House described as the most acts of presidential clemency issued in a single day. Biden said those pardoned had shown successful rehabilitation and have shown commitment to making their communities stronger and safer. It comes after he made the decision to pardon his own criminally convicted son, Hunter Biden. The U.S. Constitution decrees that a president has the broad power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
And the traffic situation on our roads this morning, we start from Thika Road, where around Muthaiga Square, around Pangani area is busy by the moment, and we come as you go towards the CBD, National Museum of Kenya, is busy as well. Now we come to Mombasa Road, where the traffic, especially from Imara Daima as you go towards Airtel, is getting busy by the moment due to the ongoing roadworks there. And we go to Jogoo Road, where it is getting busy by the moment as you go towards the CBD around Makadara area. It is busy, and Eastleigh bypass, as the Eastern bypass is also busy at the moment. Now around Outer Ring, Feather area, Feather Estate is busy. Now we go towards Ngong Road, getting towards the CBD is flowing, but is expected to get busy as well due to the construction around the Dagoretti corner area. Talk to us on the situations on the road, but as at now, that is the situation on your roads.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is 7 minutes after 7. How are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. It's Eric Latiff and Dennis Aseto. Our colleagues, C.T. Muga. C.T. Muga has gone to play golf. He's decided, you know what, come on, it's December. And I haven't really played golf much this year. So he's going to play golf. Mm-hmm. And Ndu is not playing golf, but Ndu is recuperating. She's been under the weather, got a bad flu. Yeah. But she is getting better and out of it. So, God willing, both of them will be back on Monday. And the show will be full house. No, it will not be, because I'll be away the whole of next week. Doing a bit of travel here and there. Yeah. Mambo mawili matatu. Kwenda kugua miradi ya maendeleo hapa na pale. Anyway, I'm going to Bethlehem to welcome Jesus. Yeah.
Will you get to Nazareth?
I hear that he's gonna be somewhere around there. Anazaliwa Horini Mwangombe. And I am the one now who's going with the Dhara. You know, the Kenyan Dhara is best. So he's on Ngombe.
Will you be following that star that will lead you to
the wise men?
Yes.
Now you see, I'm not a wise man, so I'll be there.
Utaka kwa ground.
Mimi niko hapo na mtoto. Kazi yangu ni kulisha ng'ombe. Okay, let's talk about wealth creation, and all you need to think about in wealth creation. The Standard Chartered Bank has been talking to us and has been telling us, you know what, you assume that when you think about wealth, it's for people who have some money to spare. Nobody has money to spare, let me tell you. It's the money that you have that will solve the problems that you have. Do not eat that money. Forget about those ones who say them. If the problems you... No. They say, if the money you have cannot solve the problems you have, eat that money. Don't listen to those people, my friend. The money you have can solve a bit of the problems that you have. And also you can start thinking about the future, because problems will always be there. Yeah. You'll have needs every day. How do you start thinking about building your wealth, growing your wealth, and consolidating and protecting that wealth? That's why you need to talk to Standard Chartered. Priority Banking at Standard Chartered, they will sort you out. They've got well-trained relationship managers, certified financial advisors. And those ones will take you through how to work with what you have so that you can then get what you don't have. How do you get in touch with them? Wealth. No. It is it. wealth.kenya.sc.com. That is wealth.kenya@sc.com. Yes. So for the last couple of days, there's been, the annual 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which ended on the 10th of December, and that's International Day of Human Rights. But the conversation doesn't end just because the 16 days have ended. No. The conversation continues, and that's why we're still having this conversation today. We want to talk about gender-based violence in the workplace. How many forms of it do we have in the workplace, and how does it present itself? And that's why we're joined by two people. Catherine Manganyi is a nurse, is a GBV advocate, and Women in Global Health Kenya chapter lead. She's here with Martin Kingoro, psychologist, Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. Martin and Catherine, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Great.
Karibuni sana to the hot seats of the Situation Room. How does it feel?
Not very hot.
Not hot, senior.
The start was good. Knowing that there is wealth discussed.
Very good. Yes, and the email again is wealth.kenya@sc.com. SC, not AC. SC. SC. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
Because we are in, festive season, it's giving season. Dennis,
yes,
do the giving.
Now, Martin and Manganyi, when we talk about life, we talk about your wealth and nutrition and everything good that comes with it. Now, here in studio today, we have a partner who is out here in making sure that you can start drinking your fruit. We know eating it is good, but drinking it is even better and easier. Now, which fruit would you want to drink, not just eat?
Apple.
And you, Martin?
Mango.
Now, Del Monte is out here making sure that they go out of their way in selecting the best fruit out there that you can be able to consume. And they do this by making sure that real begets real. That you get out there to get that which is best and touches all your good taste buds. And these, they ensure that they go out there to their farms and get that which you can enjoy. You say that you like apple. It is Christmas season, and we will make sure that we offer the Christmas. Christmas comes early in the situation.
Wow.
So I shall give you apple for you, right? This is apple for you. And
apple juice.
Apple juice. And you said you like
mango.
Yes, Happy Christmas comes early, and all this has been made possible by Del Monte. Make sure that you enjoy your mango. Make sure that you enjoy your mango. Enjoy everything good that comes with a partner that understands the need of having a good feeling, understands the need of having good nutrition. Del Monte only does it best because they are real, and real begets real.
Thank you. Wow.
Go and enjoy. And happy holidays. Now, I'm here to welcome you with the day's proverb, courtesy of CT, who is, of course, like I said, he's out there on the golf course. He's teed off, I think.
Hole 9?
I do not know what he's doing. I don't get these things. Okay. The proverbs for this week have been from the Kingdom of Lesotho. You know where it is? Where is it, Catherine? Where is Lesotho?
I can draw. People see when I draw. Kwa ile kona.
Kona gani?
Towards the Okoh. You see I'm drawing.
Towards where?
There.
Somewhere. Iko kwa ile kona. Martin, yako iko kona.
Yangu iko huko kona ya chini huko.
Huko down. Huko down. In south.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's in South Africa. It's surrounded.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere it's just surrounded by South Africa. And yes, it's a kingdom. And they say that it's actually a kingdom in the skies. because it's really high. Right? The entirety of Lesotho is highly elevated. Right? So when you're in Lesotho, you see South Africa from Angalia Okoh chini. Now, today's proverb, what the people think cannot be denied. What the people think cannot be denied. Catherine, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
I should say that there's need to respect people's thoughts because thoughts have power, and there is a lot when we open them up and interpret them in different ways to understand the deeper meaning. So every thought from an individual, there's a meaning behind it that can never be assumed.
Martin?
Okay, what people think cannot be denied. My thought would be like, since this thing is in the minds of people, probably it has a genesis. So it's coming from somewhere. So it means it exists. It exists somewhere. Yeah.
You can just rubbish it and say no. This is misinformation. No, this does not exist. There's a genesis to what people are saying.
Yes.
Good interpretations. Okay, now let's get to understand the organizations first. Global Health Kenya chapter. What's that? Women in Global Health Kenya chapter. What's that, Catherine?
I'll say Women in Global Health, it's just a network, a movement of women who are out to have a conversation on how to strengthen gender equity in health. It's majorly founded in the US, but it has chapters all over the world. It has a total of almost 59 chapters, where Kenya is among the chapters that have been started. And we are keen at having discussions of gender equity in health and having a conversation on how do we end sexual harassment at the workplace. And then the matters of equal pay, because we really need to appreciate that 70% of health workers are women. So there's a need to have their voice from the decision-making tables, and also in terms of giving them a working condition that is very conducive for them to work and take care of the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are these chapters then just focusing on workforce in health?
Yeah, they're working on gender equity generally, but now very lean on looking at the health workforce, because when we talk about global health, but when you say health workforce, people think that there are only doctors, nurses, clinical officers. No, there are very many cadres who are working in the health sector, and they are not doctors or nurses or the rest. We even have lawyers, media people. We have one of us who's a media personnel, but very linked to health matters.
Yeah.
So those are the key people that we look at also.
So anybody who's working in the health facility?
Anybody working in the health space.
The health space.
It can be outside, inside.
Even cleaners, security.
Yeah, that's a health space.
Okay. Yes. I see. All right. Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. Martin, what is it?
Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute is a non-profit making organization that's aimed at supporting people who are going through mental health issues. Basically, as it goes by the name, Training Institute and Counseling Center. Basically, we do the counseling. We support people through what we call clinical services, where we do a one-on-one in terms of counseling. We also do groups, and we also do trainings to institutions. We can tailor-make our services according to institutions. Then the training arm, we basically do the training. We train counselors at the certificate level and the diploma level. We also train social workers, both at certificate and diploma level. Yeah.
Okay. So then back to you, Catherine. When you talk about gender-based violence in the workplace, what are we talking about?
I know anybody will ask why Catherine is, let me take you back, passionate about talking about gender-based violence in general. Other than being a member of Women in Global Health, I also coordinate gender-based violence prevention and response in Migori County as the county coordinator under the health department, because I have seen people undergo and report violence, not only in the workplace, but even outside. So when we specifically talk about violence, we're talking about any act
that any act that is in terms of threats, physical violence, harassment, intimidation, or any other disruptive behavior that occurs at the workplace and can affect an individual to perform the task that's supposed to do, then GBV does not look at who you are. So it's irrespective of your sex, your gender, your identities, and the rest. As long as it affects your human rights, it violates your human rights, that becomes gender-based violence. So it's just the same as the normal definition, but now this one confines to what happens at the workplaces.
But then it must be that this sort of violence or attack is because of your gender, right?
Yes.
It can't be just because one person of one gender does something to the person of the opposite gender, then we call that GBV directly, right? Because, for example, let's talk about threats. What's a threat in the workplace?
In the workplace, there's a context of power.
Right.
So most of the time you get people who are affected by gender-based violence at the workplace. The superior person will have more power towards the person who is below. So it's easy for you to intimidate or threat. For example, I'll give an example of someone who once called me working in some facility. It's a private facility I'll not mention today. And she was telling me that the boss was threatening her that if she doesn't agree to go on dates with her, she's going to lose her job. So to her, it was normal because we've normalized GBV at the workplace. Like, it's a normal thing. The boss has said, a superior person has said this to me, so it's not something strong. But to her, I made her to realize that that was already gender-based violence at the workplace. But to her, she was just taking it like it's intimidation, which she doesn't realize that intimidation is part of it. So anywhere there is power at the workplace, and the person who is superior does anything to intimidate the person below, that becomes gender-based violence.
Okay, so that's a very clear example of where the boss is saying, go out on a date with me, and they are maybe directly, expressly, or maybe indirectly implying that, come on, taka kazi next week, know how to play this game. That's direct. But are there others that are not about, intimidation and coercion for sexual favors? That will be something else in the workplace.
There can be random texts that not everybody complies to these issues of I've gone to work, you want to be touchy-touchy. So you can take it to be normal, but the moment the power comes in, that can be mistaken to something different. Or there are physical things that you can use, like I don't appreciate, you can greet me, I think the kawaida greeting, and you have to rub my arm. That's not consented, that's violence. Because unless we've consented and we have an agreement with you, that's different. But as long as you're taking advantage, it becomes violence. Other things can be very funny text. The people who send forward funny videos, like there are videos that are insinuating something else, like they're insinuating a moment of, I'll send you a very funny video that might insinuate that I might be liking you or something. But remember, the power difference comes in. Or maybe this person, you're taking advantage because they're very quiet. So that can also be violence. It might not be only that you're leading to sex. Violence can also be physical.
Even forwarding reels.
Exactly. That's very true. Or even hitting your worker with no reason. Physical violence comes in, especially I'll give an example, maybe a cleaner working somewhere, and because you're superior, you're passing and kicking them for no good reason. That's already violence at the workplace and needs to be considered.
Now, Martin, when you talk about the Amani Counseling Center, you're located along Mbagathi, right? And as someone has gone through now the problems at workplace and they need assistance, they then come to you. But people, Kenyans mostly are skeptical on accessing health services from a counselor due to the stereotypes that do exist when it comes to going to seek counseling because of the myths that do exist when wazimu and such. So as we talk about mental health, ending GBV, how do we communicate to the victims such that they know seeking assistance, reporting to the people that handle this is okay and that they will get the help that they need?
Yeah, basically at Amani or in the counseling circles, confidentiality is very key. The one thing that stands out. So whenever one comes to Amani Counseling Center, the number one thing is that we'll observe confidentiality. In Amani, we normally say we don't refer or use names. Me as a counselor, I may know your name, but no one else will know your name because we normally use codes instead of names when it comes to something that can come in the public. When you come to our receptionist will ask you, what is your client number? And that's all they know, the client number. They know nothing more about you as a person. The only person who will know your name and maybe any other information is your counselor. And also as counselors, we make sure that we keep this information very confidential. In case of anything that we talk, it has to be behind closed doors in a room. Then when we come out of that room, that is the end of it. But basically, we also communicate where confidentiality ends. For example, if we are talking about a suicidal client, we also let them know that if it gets to a point of you risking your life or someone else's life is at risk, then we'll have to break confidentiality. So when it comes to that, we really observe confidentiality, and we also help our clients know that as they come to talk to us about what has happened to them, it will be very confidential. If we have to tell someone else, then they have to give us permission to do that. Yes.
And when we talk about counseling GBV cases at Amani Counseling, just in terms of numbers, if you have the stats, how does it look like, just specifically on GBV cases that come to your doorstep?
Basically, GBV cases are minimal, and I think Catherine alluded to it. One reason that would make GBV not be a thing that is coming forward time and again is because, number one, fear that I'll be intimidated. So like in the workplace, if a colleague, like a boss is coming and they're seeking favors, number one, the person may find a way of avoiding getting into the act, but at the end of the day, they also fear reporting because of fear of intimidation. At times, it's also fear of stigma. That when people know that I went through this space or I was GBV, they will avoid me. Even friends, even your own friends may avoid you. They will not want to associate with you. So you find that that leads to very minimal cases of GBV coming forward. Yeah, but so the numbers are very minimal that come to Amani because those are some of the reasons that would make someone would fear I lose my job, number one. Number two, it's a stigma. The number three, fear of losing friends around me. Yeah, so that leads to numbers being very minimal. In fact, statistics say that whatever is reported is so much. So what we know is very little that come forward. And at times also, when one feels that they are secure with who is the person they are telling, that's the only time they come forward. In fact, talk about one going to report in the police station. It might not be even taken serious. So people will always try to find a way to go around it and not come to talk about it. Yeah.
When people come for counseling and maybe just focusing on the workplace, and they're coming for counseling, what are they seeking?
Number one, they are seeking to see how do I manage whatever I'm going through. And as we talk about GBV, we say it can be physical, it can be psychological, it can be emotional. So number one, this person can come to Amani at times, not necessarily that I'm coming to talk about GBV, but I'm coming to talk about, and at times they are referred even by the same bosses because of they are not performing. And the lack of performing is as a result of what they are going through.
Yeah.
The molestation, physical molestation. So, and now which that adds up to psychological effect. So that also leads to non-performance at work. So at times the same boss is sending them to come, or it might not be the same boss. It might be colleagues who are putting her in that space. But the boss realizes that, you are a good worker. What is happening to you? What has changed? And so they refer them to Amani. And so when they come to Amani, at first they'll come to deal with the non-performance. But as a councillor, as we go around it, of course, I would want to get to the bottom line. What is happening? What changed? And what happened? And probably now the GBV case will come up. Yes.
Do you see many cases of men?
Very rare. Men are very rare. And in fact, looking at the GBV definition, at times it is said that it's violence against women. I mean, men we are hatuonekani. And Eric, I mean,
is there GBV against men?
Yes, there is.
In the workplace?
In the workplace. But we don't talk about it.
Let's take a break. That's what I want to understand. Because we have to be very clear when we define this as GBV. And this as any other form of, toxic workplace and matters that have to be dealt with. Or even toxic workers who will come out and, just at this particular point, you're seeing everything as threat, as intimidation, as gender-based. Then how do you also deal with that and against that? It's 29 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning are Catherine Manganyi. She is a nurse, a GBV advocate, and Women in Global Health Kenya chapter lead. Martin Kingoro is a psychologist at the Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. We are talking about GBV in the workplace. As we take this break, remember we said, there's one email that we said. It is Wairimu.Kenya@sc.com. Okay? This one you have to keep remembering. And no, not just remembering that, write and tell them, I'd like to have a conversation about how to basically sort out my finances. Right? We've been having these conversations with these guys from Standard Chartered Bank here, Catherine, right? Like the day before yesterday, we talked about how do you start planning your finances, even for transfer of wealth. Let's say you're at that point where you are receiving wealth from your parents, you're inheriting. How do you plan it so that you even avoid, taxation issues? Or you have a child. In fact, we're given a very good example. It's wedding ya mtoto yako, umeenda unasema nitawapatia nyumba. How do you make sure that you work it out in a better way so they actually enjoy the full benefits of this particular house? Because if you just transfer, yes, they will not pay some taxes, but there are some that they will have to pay. But you can put it in a certain vehicle that vehicle they don't have to pay.
Oh, that's good news.
Talk to Standard Chartered. Wealth.Kenya@sc.com. Keep it here for that. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
Hey kids, light up your festive season with Star Times. Renew your subscription for 2 months and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 2 months to spend more time hanging out with all your favorite cartoon friends on our amazing kiddie channels. Enjoy more adventure, more action, and more fun on Baby TV, CBeebies, Jim Jam, ST Kids, ST Tunes, Toonami, Cartoon, and Boing. Renew your subscription today and get upgraded to Jingle with the Stars. Download the Star Times on app to enjoy all your favorite kid shows on the go. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Now it is 27 degrees highs in Nairobi, 15 degrees lows, and in Kakamega County highs of 29 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. And we go to Kilifi County, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees, pretty hot in Kilifi County. Now Kisumu City, the lakeside city, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees, and in Nyeri County, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 13 degrees. Nakuru City as well will be experiencing highs of 26 degrees and lows of 13 degrees. Now across the borders, Mogadishu, that is in Somalia, will be experiencing highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. And in Kinshasa, DRC Congo, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 22 degrees. And in China, highs of 4 degrees and lows of 6 degrees. Pretty cold in Dongcheng, China.
Spice up your life.
And traffic is building up across major roads in Nairobi, especially now around Westlands area towards the CBD. National Museum area is busy at the moment. Now Mombasa Road going towards the CBD is busy, especially around from between Cabana's area and the Airtel area is busy due to the roadworks ongoing there. And as you go towards Jogoo Road is piling up at the moment. Headed towards Landis Road is busy, especially around Railways bus station. It is busy at the moment, as well as around Feather area, that is in Embakasi. The roads are bumper to bumper. Now around Eastern Bypass, there is traffic. It's moving. Some areas are busy, especially around Embakasi Village roundabout. It is busy at the moment. Wherever it is you are getting towards the CBD, there is a little bit of traffic. But remember to be careful and talk to us. Tell us how the situations are on the road. That is your traffic.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Our conversations continue, and let me tell you something, Helen and Martin. Catherine and Martin. When you think about traveling, next time you're going to visit the other chapters, of your organization, or you're going, to share knowledge, benchmarking or workshop, and you're traveling out of the country, you can go to 140 destinations worldwide from JKIA on Emirates. Okay? You see, we're talking about wealth.
Yes.
You need to live like a person that you are. Fly Emirates business. Not because of anything else, because you deserve the best. Now you are doing a long haul flight and you don't want to sit in that seat that you feel cramped and all. Emirates flights anyway, you're not going to feel that if you're on economy class. But on business, mambo ulaya, my friend. Mambo ulaya nakwambia. First of all, that you need to sleep. It's not that you recline your seat like this and the guy behind you is trying to tell you, no. It is you lie flat. On a flight 40,000 feet above sea level, lying flat. The kind of gourmet that they give you, proper meals, bring you proper meal with proper cutlery. So ile unafungua karatasi hivi and then you find a plastic spoon. It's proper cutlery on plate. Good meal, warm, hot meal, and you're eating proper, whatever drink of choice you want, equal pale available, and you're still up there, you're still flying. And you're thinking, oh my God, I needed to actually respond to some email before I land. I need to prepare for that meeting before I land. Because you're landing and going straight to your meeting, right?
Yeah, true.
Wi-Fi. Throughout the flight, you can connect to Wi-Fi, you can do, maybe you've decided, I want to carry my entertainment with me. You can carry your entertainment, but there's no need because the entertainment that's available up there on Emirates flight. Spoiled for choice.
Huwezi maliza.
Huwezi maliza. Hata kutoka hapo wende, you will not. And the entertainment system is proper, So you get audios, you get visuals, you can even read books. All that available up there. You can play games. available up there. So just think about it. When you fly better with Emirates. Sawa. Again, GBV in the workplace. So let's get into that distinction, right? So the relationship between boss and junior, you can say yes. So boss is intimidating, is harassing junior. That can be harassment, but not all of that can be gender-based. How do we? If we're just dealing with just boss and junior, because that's the example that you gave us, are there instances where there can be boss, junior, harassment? Yes, but it's not gender-based.
It needs to get a clear definition on what we'll mean by that harassment. But when you look at it deeper, and as I started doing the definition, there's something called sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment. And remember, sexual harassment, which is majorly what happens in setups where people are working, that's GBV.
Okay.
But when you talk about sexual exploitation and abuse, it's more of humanitarian settings where the weaker person becomes the person receiving the aid, and then the superior person maybe becomes the aid workers or the humanitarian people. But when you talk about sexual harassment, it is clear, even if you look at the Sexual Offence Act, it covers sexual harassment as part of gender-based violence, and the law is there to cater for that. As long as it is clear, there are other intentions. I know people joke in offices at different levels. There's, I think, a recent case where there was a case of sexual harassment. Somebody was bringing it up as sexual harassment, and there was a question of where is the thin line between you want to get a spouse and you maybe both of them are not married, and GBV. But again, if it is left like that without clear guidelines, it will leave people undergoing violence and normalizing it as part of normal, because there are people who don't take those jokes and things lightly. So sexual harassment is GBV at the workplace, as long as clearly I can prove that there is a power difference and you're using your power to put me down.
How about colleagues? Right? No one is above the other. You're actually same level, but like you said, there are two people, they're single, and one is trying to hit on the other.
Is that if for example you're hitting at somebody the first time and they tell you I don't like what you're doing, you still want to insist on it.
Playing hard to get. That's what happens in this world.
We usually say nowadays when a lady says no, it's a no. We are not saying playing hard to get.
And then later she'll say, but this guy just said no once and he moved on.
Consent has to be there. When there's no consent, that's violence. Because adults, there's the context of, I'll give an example of GBV, and people will say, Catherine wants to be taken out for dinner. It's okay, you take me out for dinner and you volunteered. You take me out for that dinner. That was our agreement. Buy me good wine. It's so good to take good wine. Nobody refuses to take good wine. You've bought me the food that you can call it high class. Even I've flown with Emirates. You've taken me to another place, Bahamas and the rest for celebration. When I reach there in the room, I tell you I'm not ready to be intimate with you. That was consent has been stopped. As long as we had agreed, but I said no at that specific time, that's the same thing when consent says.
I can see that. At that point when we are talking about now we are going into sex, fine. But if it's at that point where someone is just sending you a message, hey, can we have, you're all just walking by and you're like, hey, you look good today.
As long as somebody is comfortable.
How will I know that this person is not comfortable?
If I tell you I don't want, that tells you I'm not comfortable. And people are clear
I have already told you. Do I now come and ask you, can I tell you about what I think about how you look like? Before I tell you,
an example of a text.
Catherine, I like that jacket, Catherine.
That's a compliment. I'll say thank you.
I like how it makes you look.
I'll say, it's okay, that can be light on me. I say thank you. The next time you start telling me, maybe, you look hippies and I like the way you walk. Maybe I tell you I don't like such things.
Okay.
I'd even change my face. That tells you I am not subjecting to your talks. But if you continue to persist on it, that's wrong. That becomes violence, because I've already put a clear line that I don't want. The first time you can make it like a joke. Anybody will pick it, that's a simple. Some people take jokes lightly. But somebody will tell you, me, I don't like the way, The people even don't like to be called the word dear in offices. Hi, dear. I don't like. There are different people reacting differently, and that's really allowed. And not only for ladies, also men.
Even for men.
Yes, GBV, it's a two-way. I know when people hear the word gender, most of the people will always think these people are talking about women. They're not talking about men. But gender, it's either a man or a woman, and currently we can look at the intersex also are there. So we can, when we talk about sex, so it's a man or a woman, we respect that. So even in the office, men undergo violence. But now we talk about violence against women and girls because the data is clear. Women and girls are highly vulnerable, one. And then two, the reported cases are many. So even request men, please report. We want this data.
Are there cases where you've heard that men report?
Yes. But very few, even in hospitals.
And when they do, give an example.
I'll give an example of a young boy around 17, that's still a man, who underwent sexual violence, what most people call sodomy. So at first it was even hard for
in the workplace.
No, now on an outside world. I know the workplace, I've never had any man report that they've undergone violence at the workplace. Most of them will tell you, hata boss alikuwa nataka nimdrive to the office. But it was okay. But then they don't know it's violence. They feel it's okay until it starts affecting them. But now for this boy, one thing I noted from this boy is why men don't report because of what he clearly said. One, it's stigmatizing because men, you've been brought up to be told kaa kama mwanaume, mwanaume ndio kusema, kaa ngumu and the rest. So you grow up to the time umeenda workplace, I am a man. So I am not even supposed to tell people a lady alinikatia, it looks strange. But ideally, it's normal to report if it's violence. But to you, it will be strange when your boss tells you, hi, see, today I take you to Java. It's normal. Boss ananipeleka Java, favor. So when it keeps on going like that, it hurts you because maybe it can even affect your family if you have a family. Because there are very crazy hours. You're supposed to be with your family, but now you choose to be with the boss. But now how many men report this? Or how many men speak up?
So, Martin, is there, so now that men don't report these cases, is there a possibility that data we have, especially on GBV cases around men, is distorted because men naturally do not report? So statistics that we deal with does not really highlight issues, especially surrounding men.
Exactly. That's the reality on the ground. That the numbers that are reported are not exactly what we see. Like I was looking at some data that was reported by the National Police in 2021, and they were saying that about 8,149 cases were reported. Out of the cases reported, 92 were women, 8% were men. So those are the few men who come forward and say, and probably as Catherine says, the young people who are wako mtaani and maybe imefanyika na wameambiwa twende useme. But at the workplace, no one will say anything. There's an incident. I was talking to a friend and she told me that I was now talking about GBV and she was like, okay, so you mean that's GBV? So she was telling me that there was this company where they went out, the HR alipeleka watu nje. Na wakati aliwapeleka watu nje kwa hotel, they booked into a nice hotel and she put all the ladies on one side and all the gentlemen on one side. That was okay, maybe in her thinking. But she booked herself on the side of the men. And when they came out of that, from that trip and they came back home, around 5 men said that they were lured into their HR's room. And so she had slept with the 5 guys. Of course, that's GBV. Because the fact that they came and said it, it means it was not their initiative.
Were they bragging about it or complaining?
Okay. It could be a very thin line between bragging and complaining for men. It could be a very thin line for them. So that's what she was sharing just to me.
So there was no consent.
Which means there was no consent. The fact that someone is coming to say it to someone else, and it's like, oh, so hata wewe.
And there is an aspect of power play
Yes.
that is going around, which then falls directly on GBV in workplaces.
In workplace. Yeah. And one thing you, Catherine was saying that comes out, I look at even this GBV thing is dependent on the recipient. Like the way we are sitting, Eric, with you, when there is a W here, for me, I'll say a W. You will say an M. So it depends on which side are you sitting, in which side are you looking at this GBV. Because even if I say like, wow, na umebeba, that's a word I'm saying, mimi mwanaume. It could be, I'm saying it, I'm complimenting you. But the recipient, do they receive it that way? As long as they don't receive it as long as they picked an unwanted, unacceptable, I'll try that GBV.
So workplaces should have these policies, right, on how to address GBV and harassment in the workplace, even mechanisms on how to report, how to handle it, how to address it, right? But we are clearly seeing that there's a mismatch here, that there's the entire, understanding of this is violence against women. But it's violence across board. It's violence against colleagues. Whatever level of violence, whether physical or not, right? Are there, to your best of your knowledge, are there any efforts that are being made to, number one, create more awareness on the definitions and understanding of one another in workplaces? Because, like you're saying, there are some offices where people really are open, they joke a lot. And there are colleagues who have gotten to that level where they take it as, it's a joke. A new colleague joins, and he comes or she comes and wonders,
what are you doing?
Yeah, but because all of us are used to this, we then subject the new one to the same. And that new one then is feeling different. Are there policies that address such kind of issues? And also policies that then encourage men to come out and speak about GBV?
Those are like I can say it depends on companies, or at times there could be policies, but there are policies on paper and on shelves that are not being put in practice, that are not being communicated to the people on the ground. And as we said, this thing has also something to do with power. If I am the boss and I know at one point whatever knife I'm putting in the hands of the other person will cut me, then it will more likely I will not want to put it across. I will not want to bring it out, because it's like I'm giving you the knife to use it against me. So at times policies are there, but they are not brought in the forefront, or they are not communicated to the employees, the people that is supposed to be communicated to. And that's why we are saying one of the things that should be done that we may combat GBV in the workplace is having these clear policies communicated or given to the employees, that we have clear policies given to the employees so that they may know. And even, in fact, also that we have clear policies on how to deal with it in case it has happened in an institution. What are the steps to be taken so that we combat GBV at the end of the day?
How about you, Catherine?
I think I should add that we have a lot of acts, a lot of policies in place. A small study that we did as Women in Global Health, just for women leaders at different levels, what shocked us is most people do not even know the policies that protect them, or even acts of the laws that may protect them from violence. A quick one I usually ask people, have they ever read the Constitution of Kenya to understand what it talks about workplace? Most people will tell you tulisomewa, but they don't know the specific place where you'd say, because if you look at the Constitution of Kenya, there's a place, section 41(2), it says that every worker has the right to reasonable working conditions. So reasonable working conditions talks about also violence at the workplace. Then if it's GBV or any other violence at the workplace, it protects one. If you look at the Employment Act of 2007, it is very clear and can be used because it states that It prohibits employers from harassing or discriminating against employees or prospective employees. So it clearly tells you you're not supposed to be discriminated at the workplace, but how many people know it's there and they can stand to use it when they undergo that. Sexual Offence Act 2006, very clear. It has a clause on talking about sexual harassment, and it's clear talking about Article 23 talks of situations, conduct, and grounds that would constitute sexual harassment. So it clearly tells you when sexual harassments will come in, how you can report it, and even the charges and the fines if you undergo sexual harassment. Another one that I can end with is the Sexual Employment, the Employment Act. It's at Article 4, Sub-Article 1. It talks about prohibits forced labor. So if somebody wants to forces you into forced labor because of other favors, you can report. But now, how many people know that these exist? How many people are using this to defend themselves? Very few people. So you've normalized violence so much, it has become a norm. So even if you undergo violence at the workplace, you're like, I'll be sacked if I talked about this. I will spoil the companies. The hospital will be looked upon. So even healthcare workers, a lot of healthcare workers undergo violence at the workplace. But now they don't know to limit. It is either from patients or even from the workers they're working with. But now, how do you understand what will protect you? And then lastly, I should say, we need to have a grievance reporting mechanism that is very clear and will tell you your confidentiality will be kept safe, and then you are protected in case you report. Because I know the challenge comes in, Catherine will not want to report she's undergone violence because she knows, too, everybody will be pointing fingers at Catherine all through. And then losing the job, it's very easy. I might not lose the job, but I'll go into mental breakdown because going to a work and then somebody says, "Huyu ndiye anastakingi wakubwa." See, that's a very intimidating statement. And we even saw an example what happened in Kericho Tea. We all saw the stories. You see, the kind of intimidation you go through will make you not to speak up. So it's just time to tell people, let us understand the policies, the laws that are there that protect you at the workplace and use them well. Then from there, we put the government into task to put up clear grievance reporting mechanism. Because if people are to open up, there's a time, I'll say quickly, I posted in my WhatsApp status, I usually love posting issues on GBV, and I brought up the Sexual Offence Act and harassment. And a very senior person in one county, very senior, just came into my inbox and told me, "Catherine, it's hard for me to speak up. For me, it's even worse. What about the people who work below me?" And it's a lady. So I was asking, if this person at the senior most level would say this, undergoing violence and cannot speak up, what is happening to the people who are working below her? Meaning now they are completely tarnished and they don't have strength. So I just told her there is a law and you can use. But now the issue she told me is there is no grievance reporting mechanism that it's clear that can protect me when I report.
Yeah, because you want to report, but then you don't know the repercussions of it.
Yes.
Should there be confidentiality really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, when you talk about GBV, it's a very sensitive topic. And most people would not, like even the women who have reported right now, it's a tip of the iceberg. As much as we say women and girls, trust me, women right now, some of them report after they've undergone so much trauma and they're coming up to see it. So it's also a tip of the iceberg on the cases of GBV we're seeing among women. But now when you open up, it will be more. Then, why confidentiality? It's because I report I'm talking about you. And I'm not ready for people to know I am talking about Catherine, who is the perpetrator.
Do you want the issue to be dealt with or not? Because if you do, then I definitely am going to be called.
You have to prepare me.
Yeah. If I'm going to be called to come and respond to this issue, then there's no confidentiality. It's already gone.
It's confidentiality can be two-way.
I could go back and start saying, unajua nimeitwa kwa nini? Catherine anasema tijana vile tulipita hapa hivi. She felt that I was harassing her. And we start having that conversation.
That's why we have to have a grievance reporting mechanism. Because if it's strictly, it's put you under oath. Like it's, example, under oath, even if you start a case, you should not talk about it. This should be protected. So people misreporting because of exactly of what you've said.
But I want people to know so that they know, they can also judge. I want the public opinion to know, was that harassment or not? Maybe Catherine and the boss have engineered a case against me. And now because of this confidentiality, I can't talk about it. I'll just be fired. And it'll not be clear why I got fired. I don't feel that I committed the offense.
Can I echo something?
Yeah.
When you put up a grievance reporting mechanism, you don't look at one way. It's not about two people. It becomes an independent person who comes in to listen. Not even one person. Independent team that will listen to just judge between the two what comes out. Then if you want to also pick it up, you can go to the police also. It can be reported and the police do their own investigations.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much both for joining us. It's been a good conversation. Catherine Manganyi, nurse, GBV advocate and Women in Global Health Kenya chapter lead, and Martin Kingoro, psychologist, Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. Remember the email though as we conclude. It's wealth.kenya@sc.com. Talk to Standard Chartered Bank. They'll help you grow and build your wealth. It's 8 a.m. news time.
Amira. Raila Odinga is set to take on his rivals for the African Union Commission chairmanship in a televised debate from the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The former Prime Minister will face off with Mohamed Ali Yusuf of Djibouti and Richard Randriamandrato of Madagascar in a debate that will kick off at 7 p.m. The debate will be conducted in French and English with simultaneous interpretation provided to the candidates and the audience in all 6 working languages of the AU, that is English, French, Arabic, Portuguese, Spanish and Swahili. The debate will allow the candidates to present their visions and ideas for the continent. President William Ruto has urged Kenyans to base their criticism of the government on truth and verifiable facts, warning that divisive narratives could undermine the country's progress. Speaking during the 61st Mashujaa Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi, Ruto said he's open to criticism as long as it's based on facts. He blamed digital platforms for amplifying disinformation and spreading propaganda about various government projects and policies.
We encourage everyone, including our critics, to engage on the basis of facts and the truth. If some of us persist in the culture of reckless negativity, for how long will cynics mobilize Kenyans to deny facts that they can feel, that they can touch, and they can see? When we say that the cost of basic commodities has come down, it is a fact. When we say that Kenyans who have registered for Taifa Care are receiving better services than before, it is a fact.
Plans are underway to rename roads in Nairobi after musicians including Issa, who died in 2003 after he was involved in a road accident. Speaking during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja said the move will honor musicians and ensure their legacy is remembered.
Nairobi is now able to attract major artists locally and internationally. We shall be honoring our artists by renaming some of the roads, and I've spoken to Mheshimiwa Jalas, our county assembly has dealt with it. For instance, Issa, one of the roads in South Sea, shall be renamed after the great hero Issa, whose brother has performed here today.
Governor Sakaja further urged young people to shoot content. Further said that young people can now shoot content in the city for free as part of the government's strategy to ensure quality and competitiveness of Kenyan creative products for export.
One of the areas we have also seen growth, Your Excellency, is social media and entertainment apps. We want to thank you because you have led from the front. You have engaged YouTube, you have engaged TikTok, you have gone to Hollywood, you have gone to the US to engage many of these people, and our young people can now monetize their talent. It is with this understanding, Your Excellency, that we as Nairobi County continue to allow our young people to produce their content and to shoot content for free in the CBD. Gone are the days when you needed a permit to shoot content in the city, and with this we've seen an exponential growth in this area.
General Charles Kahariri, Inspector General Douglas Kanja and Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu are among Kenyans who've been awarded state commendations. President William Ruto conferred over 500 Kenyans with various state honors and awards during the Jamhuri Day luncheon hosted at State House, Nairobi. The presidential awards include the Order of the Golden Heart, Order of the Burning Spear and Order of the Grand Warrior. The awards are normally divided into 3
3 categories based on seniority, that is chief, elder and moran. General Kahariri was awarded for exemplifying integrity and professionalism in his duties, while Justice Mwilu was rewarded for her support for the needy and vulnerable in the society. President Emmanuel Macron of France is today expected to announce his choice for Prime Minister, according to the Elysee Palace, in a bid to end months of political turmoil. 8 days after French MPs ousted Michel Barnier as Prime Minister in a no-confidence vote, Macron cut short a visit to Poland on Thursday and had been expected to come up with a new name on his return. But after his return, his entourage said a statement could not come until Friday morning. French politics has been deadlocked ever since Macron called snap parliamentary elections during the summer, and when he does name a new prime minister, it will be his 4th this year. That's the News Wire. I'm Edwin Lisamir.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
And the traffic as we speak right now, especially in Nairobi, as you try to access the CBD, it is getting trickier by the moment, especially around the Thika Road, that is Survey area, Muthaiga Square and Pangani area is busy at the moment, packed bumper to bumper as you get towards the National Museum as well. Around Forest Lane is packed up, and Mombasa Road going towards the CBD is busy. This is due to the ongoing roadworks around Airtel area is busy and packed. Now Jogoo Road is busy, and around Mbotela Makadara is busy as well, and Landis Road towards the CBD around Railways Museum headquarters is busy. Now tell us how the situation is, the roads that you're using, but in whatever it is you're doing using the roads, please be careful.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 8 minutes after 8. How are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's Friday the 13th. What do they say about Friday the 13th, Dennis?
Everything bad happens Friday the 13th,
like
allegedly.
What? Like what?
Getting stuck in a lift.
The sun gets stuck. The sun rises and then it stays somewhere.
Stays somewhere.
It doesn't move.
Sisongi.
You get into a lift and you get stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't use the lift, you're fine.
You can also fall on the stairs, so pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
You use the stairs and then you
fall.
Hey. Where did this begin? Where did it come from?
White man problems?
Audio problems?
Yeah.
Okay. It is Eric and Dennis Aseto today. CT is away, and as well as Ndu, she's also away. She's recuperating. She's been having a horrible flu, but she will be getting better. And hopefully, both of them will be back right here on Monday. Yes?
Yes, yes, inshallah.
Yeah. So we've been talking and telling you about what the KCB Foundation did a couple of years back. They decided, you know what, enough of just sitting back and watching, and we can do something about it. Mm-hmm. And this is about addressing the issue of unemployment. For many people, unemployment goes back into lack of skill, goes back into no access to skilling platforms. Mm-hmm. And so KCB Foundation decided, you know what, let's come up with a program that encourages people to get a skill, and beyond getting a skill, to get employment. And not just employment. If you can actually get yourself self-employed, works even better.
Even better.
They called it tujiajiri. So all those people who sat back and decided that thing, they look back and they see the number of people that it has impacted. And now it's not just about the KCB Foundation, it's about communities. Anyway, our guest is Mendi Njonjo. She's the KCB Foundation Director, and she'll tell us more and more about it. Mendi, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Have you heard of this Friday the 13th story?
I have. And I think, like you, it may be a bit of a cultural import, but I will also not lie when I say on Friday the 13th, I take extra steps to be careful.
Really?
Yes, I do.
You got infected.
Iyo imeniingia. It's like the black cat.
This is the day when we no longer use our watches to count our steps.
You're like, I don't know. Before I make any move, I've got to think thrice.
I gotta calculate.
Not thinking twice.
Yeah.
It's thinking thrice. Karibu sana, Mendi.
Asante sana.
You'll tell us more about this. We've been talking about, we've been talking about the numbers, and hopefully in coming days also, we want to have the people who have benefited from this program to come here and tell us their story. So we can then see, all right, so what is your story? Where did you come from? How did you get into the Tujiajiri program? Post-Tujiajiri program? Show us the results. But you'll tell us the thinking around it. You'll give us the overall and overview figures around it. But to welcome you, our gentleman here called Dennis Aseto works very well with a company called Del Monte. I know you know Del Monte.
I do.
Who doesn't know Del Monte? Okay? Del Monte doesn't make juice. They do what?
They make an experience.
Okay.
You know? Yes. And it is an experience that comes from the fact that they understand what it is you love. Which among the fruits do you like? Which one? Pineapples, yeah. And now what Del Monte has done is they've taken their time to go into these farms to select that fruit that will meet your taste buds the way you like it. It is all about ensuring that these fruits have naturally just ripened. They are ready to go. And the good thing is Del Monte does not add any preservatives, no added sugar. Everything is natural. That goes into addressing your nutrition, making sure that when you taste or you drink Del Monte, you enjoy that drinks the way you like it. And just because we're talking about it, I remember that there are no preservatives, and it is refreshing, and the quality is what? Top notch. And when you talk about being real, KCB is dealing with real cases on a daily basis, right? We're talking about unemployment and addressing that, giving skill. These are real stories. Del Monte is real in the sense that when you enjoy your favorite pineapple drink, it is real, begetting real. And with that, let me just hook you up with the pineapple. And when we talk about pineapple, we say Christmas comes early, only on the Situation Room. And I'll not only give you pineapple, but I'll give you Del Monte Gold pineapple. Real begets real. Eric, do you want some?
Of course. But you'll give me later.
Later.
Thank you.
That is gold pineapple.
Gold pineapple. Not just pineapple.
No added sugars, no preservatives, right? It is your pineapple in liquid form.
Thank you.
Yes.
Karibu sana. I will give you the day's proverb. All right. The proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Lesotho. And the city has been telling us it because of where it's located. The entire country is elevated, several 100 feet above sea level. So it's an elevated kingdom. Okay. Today's proverb: what the people think cannot be denied. What the people think cannot be denied.
Okay.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I think they may be referring to a situation where sometimes perception becomes the reality. And if I also think of this Friday the 13th thing, after a while, if you become a believer in Friday the 13th being ill-omened, then a little stumble that would have otherwise been pretty innocuous, it becomes a realization of that particular incident. So I think for me, it's that sometimes perception becomes your reality. That's my interpretation of that proverb.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's a very interesting interpretation of it. Yeah, perception can become reality. Yeah. What the people think cannot be denied. Nice one. Nice one. There are people who don't know the KCB Foundation. So let's start from that very top. What's the KCB Foundation? How is that different from KCB, the bank?
So the KCB Foundation is the corporate social responsibility arm of the KCB Group. And usually when I have that conversation, guys are like, corporate social responsibility. So we are the arm or the subsidiary that was set up by the KCB Group to basically carry out all our social impact initiatives in the East and Central Africa region. So as KCB Foundation, we decided to work on education, and we decided to work on livelihoods. So this Tujiajiri job employment creation program, as well as other initiatives, because we really wanted to make sure that as the KCB Group, we were also giving back to the communities that have allowed us to be in business for at least 127 years. So that's who the foundation is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you get your funding from?
So we get our funding from the KCB Bank. So KCB Bank Kenya, as well as also with partnerships with other donors. One of our biggest programs in the livelihoods programs, we're in partnerships with partners like the MasterCard Foundation. We also have funding from other, both local as well as non-Kenyan donors. And together, we've been able to come up with support for these two programs that I mentioned, so the education as well as the livelihoods, to really allow us to try and jumpstart the communities that we live and work in.
Mandy, what's the difference between education and livelihoods?
So education, we focus on scholarships. So we take young people from high school all the way through tertiary. And it's based on the notion that I think you can all agree with this, which is that you give people an education, especially really underprivileged young people, economically, but are seriously bright. By the amount of seriously bright Kenyans is mind-boggling. As well as also children who are facing harmful cultural practices or others would have been excluded from school. So all of those, we try and make sure they get a chance to access education, because we think that's one of the biggest levelers. And we take them from high school all the way through tertiary. And then our livelihoods program is now the adult-facing program. And this is to give people a chance to really get money in their pockets. It is so, so important, you know. So for us, that is, I think, the key difference between the two programs. They're all aimed at prosperity. One is for the younger people, and then the other one is now for working age East and Central Africans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tujiajiri,
yes,
is it in education or in livelihoods, or is it both?
So our our education program is KCB Scholars.
Okay.
Tujiajiri is what we call our economic development programs across the board. And they have a livelihoods element where we teach, or rather we support people to acquire the work skills that they require to become able to participate in the workforce. And then our biggest element in Tujiajiri is also our support for micro, small and medium enterprises. So Tujiajiri is our catch-all program for all the economic livelihood activities we do as KCB Foundation.
And Tujiajiri, as we speak now, in the country right now, we are facing unemployment on extremely high levels, and it is a subject of conversation. Even the president addressed it yesterday in the Jamhuri Day celebrations. But here is KCB coming in as a partner that deals with communities. I mean, your slogan is for better for people, and here's a situation where you are bringing in communities and trying to solve that situation. How is it like when you sit and deal with these stories on a daily basis?
So on some level, it's very heartbreaking. I don't know if you all were able to catch the picture of a certain employer who had put out an advert for jobs. Although when I say that, I have a feeling I have to say which one.
Which one? Because there are many.
Because there are so many, right? So you'll put out an advert for 12 jobs, and it looks like an election line, right? It's twisting and winding. All these people are just lining up to get jobs, right? And for me, this is in a picture, a snapshot of why programs like Tujajiri or why the unemployment issue is so critical. It is heartbreaking, it is urgent. There's so many Kenyans who need jobs. And the flip side, the story that I choose to tell is that there's so many Kenyans who want to work, right? And we have to meet that mismatch between 150 jobs are available, 9,000 people are coming up for those interviews, only 150 will be taken, and sometimes the employer will not be able to even immediately utilize this 150 because they don't have the skill set this employer needs. So for us, we chose to intervene on that level, right? Because we knew unless Kenyans are getting employed, unless money is getting in people's pockets, then really we may not get to where we need to be quickly enough. Yeah.
So then let's talk about how Tujajiri works.
Yes.
How does it work?
So we work in two ways. One is on what we call skilling. So, another foundation term for providing, I think the easiest all-embracing term is education for adults who have left, let me say high school or tertiary, right? And the idea is that if you listen to people like the Federation of Kenyan Employers, they'll say that they're only able to use around 20%, right, of the workforce as they leave whatever colleges.
As they leave college?
As they leave training institutions. They're not really able to absorb those people, right? They need an extra level of skilling, right? And then we also recognize that within almost all Kenyans, you'll find that there are also people who require just a little bit of extra skilling to be able to be either an employer or to be able to be employed or to be able to be self-employed, right? So what we do is that we intervene in this level in terms of providing skilling for these three sets of people. And we do this by partnering with, primarily it's with counties, because you'll find that the bulk of TVETs, and for us, we are really looking at trying to see how do we get a massive amount of people to be able to get the required skills that they need, right? So we provide scholarships so that these people can get TVET educations, usually 3 to 6 months, depending on the course that they take. And then after that, we work with other people to try and make sure that they get job placement to the extent possible. And then as foundation, we also work in things like creating an enabling environment.
Andy, okay. So you are partnering with a training institution.
Correct.
Okay. And because it's county, it's the vocational training colleges at county level.
Yes.
Not the polys and the national polytechnics. These are already training people.
Correct.
For the job market.
Correct.
But the job market is saying that the people that are being trained by these VTCs are not suitable for the job market.
Correct.
And then you're taking the people to the same colleges.
Yes and no, because what we've also been doing is that we have recognized that let me actually problematize that issue even more, right? Training should not just necessarily be for the skills of today. Yeah, you need to really train for 10 years down the road, right? If you're a curriculum that is really speaking towards what it is that the job market needs, right? So what we have found is that by partnering with TVETs, right, and by also, because the other intervention that we also try and have is really to try and make sure we are doing things like job linkages as well as also market linkages for people who are in business, right? So it is trying to see if we can get that market readiness for even the skills that are being provided within these TVETs as well as also private institutions. And I couldn't agree with you more, Eric, because one of the things we found is that when we partner, for instance, with our private TVETs, if you're teaching, for instance, hairdressing, the best lessons are from people who have a college that is actually encased in a hairdressing institution. So they have the latest market information in terms of what does hair,
They're
what
dealing
does...
with clients
daily. So they have real-time market information. And what we hope is that through these collaborations, that we're now also able to really support even the TVETs that we work with in terms of even becoming more market ready for Kenya. So that's basically our bigger, broader ambition in terms of what we want to do as KCB Foundation.
Let's twist the knife a little bit more.
Twist.
So, the VTCs
Yes.
have training programs.
Yes.
These programs run, from certificate to diploma.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
Many of them are beyond 3 months. Even many are beyond 6 months. So then the KCB to Jiajiri program comes and starts to bring people who will only come into this institution and train for 3 months or 6 months, and then they are out. Why not just support the VTC and the students that it has to make sure that they're actually training better for the job market?
So
why do you have to bring your own people into my college when I have my own people that I'm training?
So to be clear, what we do is that we really believe in building on what is already there, right? So maybe let me explain how it is like the skilling program works, right? So we will partner with VTCX in X county, right? So what we prefer to do is that we get into partnerships with the counties who then now ideally would be providing matching funding to allow us to really be able to leverage on, if we're putting in 300 million, they can put in 300 million so we can support as many students as possible, right? When it comes to the intake, and your point is very well taken, right, Eric? What we're trying to do is that we will put out a call for scholars, right? So it is not KCB, we are not putting our students into the program, right? What we are saying is that we want to support a certain criteria of people. Typically, it's people who are 18 to 34, and this is really needs-based because 67% of unemployment is found in that age bracket. Typically, we will try and look for people who have a certain orientation towards employment, right? You want to go out, you have that grind mentality, if you will, right? And then we're also really trying to support people who otherwise would not have been able to attend the training center. So for us, our intervention is not even so much as coming to overlay a brand new set of programming. It is saying, so let's see who amongst your population can we support, right? 3 to 6 months, because we are also trying to do the upskillers, so the people who need a top-up, because again, we were trying to create mass entrepreneurship, right? So that's the intervention that we have chosen.
So it's like recognition of prior learning is also coming into effect here.
Correct.
Somebody who already is doing this, they're in this trade, but they just don't have the proper certification for it, the NITA certification. They come in through this, and then they'll get NITA certification, which helps them better in their trade.
Correct.
I get it. Okay. So when you say we are making a call for scholars to apply for the Tujiajiri program, what's the criteria that you use?
So typically it has to be in, so broadly, depending on the partner that we have aligned with. So let me pick the county example, right? Ideally, it should be somebody between 18 to 34, right? Not because we're excluding the people over 18 to 34, but that's also the typical demographic of people who will be attending the VTCs. You also have to be attending or want to pick up a course that has some sort of market readiness, right? So again, that upskilling that I was talking about. So we were looking at these sectors that have the possibility of employment, so construction, beauty, and so on and so forth, right? And then the third thing that we are also trying to make sure that our scholarship students also have is also what I was talking about in terms of a certain orientation towards, like, you really want to do this class, you want to finish, you want to go out and you just want to get a job or be an employer, right? So it's a set of these three things. That
somebody with a drive.
Somebody with a drive, yeah.
How do you pick that out?
So there is quite a bit of work that has gone into just figuring out how do you do these sort of assessments, right? In terms of, Eric, I have a conversation with you and then I try and get a sense of what are your 3, 6 month, 1 year kind of like ambitions. And then also in terms of even the class that you want to take, even in terms of your attitude towards the program, right? So there's a there's a set of questions that quite a bit of work has gone into figuring out, these are the sorts of things that will give you indicators, right? Again, indicators of whether this person is, interested in the class and will also apply the class post training.
So not just joyriders.
Yeah, not just joyriders. we are really trying to make sure we don't have joyriders in the program.
You're focusing on the impact.
Absolutely.
Right? Not just the result of, we have trained so many people, we've supported so many people through school, and then where are they?
Yes.
They've just joined these other people who are not working.
Correct.
It's somebody who will come out of there and they have the drive to get something going.
Correct.
Let's take a break. It's 8:30. Kenya's biggest conversation is hosting Mendi Njonjo. She's the KCB Foundation Director. We are talking about the KCB to Jiajiri program, the impact that it has had. This is a program that's targeting 18 to 34-year-olds who are out of school, adults. 18 is an adult, right? Who is thinking, I need to actually get myself into the job market and I need to be better. So how do they do that? They help them through skilling, and they also help them, and you'll tell us, especially the part of managing your finances when you get out of school and you have a job and an income. This is something. Mendi, I know you fly quite a bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. So in the wee bit that you fly, you can go to 140 places out of JKIA on Emirates, right? And then Emirates has a business class, right? And the Emirates business class, Ebu, tell us your experience.
I think...
Is it true that you lie flat?
That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
Like you lie flat?
That is true.
And then they give you proper linen?
That is true.
And they give you pajamas?
That is true.
And you can even go home with the pajamas?
That is true.
But the duvet you live?
And
duvet, I think you live.
You live there. The duvet you live.
Right. Even the cutlery, which is real silver.
It's a proper silver cutlery.
It's proper silver. That one you live.
Proper China.
Okoh. Proper.
Yeah.
And the meals?
So meals, it's menu. It is, I want this one and this one and this one.
It's a la carte.
It's a la carte.
It's not that it's leo to kona ugali, shika. You choose what you want.
That is correct.
And then there's also Wi-Fi available throughout the flight.
That is correct.
And so when you're up there and people in the office are thinking, well, Mendi has like 8 hours before she lands, they're finding you, they're just seeing your emails. Right? Hey. You've heard it. Yeah, somebody who's done the Emirates business. This is what we keep telling you. Fly better, fly Emirates. 28 minutes to 9. Keep it here. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This festive season, gift yourself the magic of realness. Because whether it's a laugh, a cry, or a gasp, it's better when it's shared. With Del Monte, the real moments are more enjoyable. Drink up and make merry with those who keep it real this 12 days of Christmas and beyond. This festive season, it's not about what's under the tree. It's about the real joy we create around it.
Made from 100% real fruit juice with no added sugar or preservatives. Enjoy Del Monte. Real, recognize real.
Bienvenido mi gente. Bienvenido mi gente. Bienvenido mi gente. Enjoy the music in the Caribbean. Cuban rhythms, Cuban African beats. They show that takes you straight to the heart of Cuba with the hottest beats. Timeless classics and everything in between. Whether you're a salsa lover, a jazz aficionado, or just someone who loves music, you are in for a treat. The show that takes you straight to the heart of Cuba with the hottest beats. Timeless classics and everything FM.
And Nairobi is experiencing highs of 27 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Kakamega County, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. Now Mombasa City, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Pretty hot in Mombasa. And in Nyeri County, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 13 degrees. Now to the lakeside city of Kisumu, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. Now we go to Kinshasa, Congo, across the border, and highs of 32 degrees and lows of 22 degrees, pretty hot in Congo. And we go to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 27 degrees. And in Paris, France, highs of 4 degrees and lows of 1 degree. Pretty cold in France. That's your weather. And the situations on the road as you try to access the CBD continues to get busier by the moment, especially around Thika Road. KCA University Muthaiga Square is busy towards Pangani. As you head towards the National Museum is busy and packed. Now as we get towards Landis Road, towards Railways Bus Station is busy and packed. Now Mombasa Road is a messy affair, especially as you get from Cabanas towards Airtel area. There is packed up due to the ongoing construction. Now Waiyaki Way towards the CBD is moving a little bit slower though. As you get towards the mall roundabout there towards the CBD is busy. Now Jogoo Road is moving up at the moment, but whichever way it is, if you're using the roads, be sure to be careful while at it.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
23 minutes to 9. Our conversation continues with KCB Foundation Director Mendi Njonjo. We're talking about the KCB, the Tujiajiri program, which is a program that has really, after impact and job creation and employment. So we talked about when you started. When did you start the program? 2016?
2016, yes.
Okay. How many people have gone through the program so far?
So we've provided about 150,000 jobs. We've been able to help create 150,000 jobs. We've trained 36,000 people.
Okay.
And
so 36,000 graduates of this program.
Correct.
Okay. And out of that, 150,000 jobs.
Yes. And in addition to that, we've also helped incubate about 11,000 businesses because we have an MSME component to this work. So
what does that mean, incubation?
So it is, in addition to skilling, I think I should also have mentioned this, a really important part of the Tujiajiri program is our MSME work. Where we know that if you want to help change the employment numbers, you really have to support micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. So what we do is that we provide non-financial support to these businesses through access to business development services in terms of financial literacy, sometimes it's technical assistance, and then we also partner with KCB Kenya, where they are now also able to access finance now as the MSMEs. So that element, the non-financial support, is now the one that I'm talking about in terms of incubation, where we partner with business development support organizations in the country to give them, training in terms of how do you make your business stronger, so that at least we have more sustainable, more long-lasting businesses in the country.
Now, when you talk about the programs that you undertake, it is not only something that KCB is doing on its own, it is a partnership with other organizations in order to be able to lend help and ensure that these young people and employment is a reality for them. Yeah. So what are some of the organizations that you're working with in terms of, in making sure that your dreams become a reality?
So a big shout out to our funding partners, right? So KCB, I have to really acknowledge the fact that in terms of putting money back into the communities that we bank, right? So a chunk of our funding comes from KCB Kenya. We're also in partnership with entities like the MasterCard Foundation, as I mentioned. And it would also be remiss of me to not mention that our partnerships are also only able to get the impact that they exist, because we have people like training partners who have come in to really provide the sort of training that our businesses, our young people need to be able to really get employed or to be employers. The co-funding partners as well. So like the counties that I mentioned, people who come in and say, we believe in what it is that you're doing. We want to put money into this work. And then our employment partners. So we've also partnered with other private sector entities who have said, hey, listen, if we look at maybe providing skilling to this number of people, we are also going to offtake their produce. We are also going to make sure that they have a market for their work, because without them, what we would be doing is really just training and not really having, if it's services that they are providing, their services will not have a market, or if it's the people who actually need a job, they would also not be able to get a job. So those are really the partners without whom Tujajiri would not be the success that it is.
Which counties have you worked with so far?
So in Tujajiri, across the board, we work in all counties. We are
All
really
47.
strong in 41, but we work in all counties,
Okay. And when you say, so 36,000, because I just want to come back here, 36,000 have gone through the program.
Correct.
Right? And out of these 36,000, 11,000 businesses have been incubated. That is, you've helped to start a business.
Yes. Well, typically we'll work with people who are already in business.
Right.
And maybe they've stagnated, or they're struggling, or they are at the point where they want to ramp it up.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to come and add the math.
Okay, so let me...
So where we have 150,000 jobs out of 36,000 trainees, connect the dots.
So let me pick the 11,000 businesses. That tends to be primarily with our MSME, the enterprises that we have incubated. The 36,000 people who we have trained, right? Those are people who will not necessarily go onwards to start jobs, to start
their own enterprises.
Their own enterprises and so on and so forth, right? So this 150,000 jobs, the way we do it is that for every MSME that we start, we also count, or for every person we have trained who goes onwards to then now start an enterprise, we try and count how many jobs did you create, right? And for the enterprises that we've also helped incubate, we also try and track out of those how many employees were you able to have, were they part-time, were they full-time, did the jobs last? So that is how those numbers all add to this 150,000 jobs. Yeah.
How many have lost their jobs?
So in terms of the 150 number, I think just take that as a number that we have tried to see, because there tends to be attrition back and forth, and then some come back, attrition, some come back. So the 150,000 number is the one that we tend to look at in terms of these are the jobs that we think, in terms of just looking at data. There were some part-time jobs, so I created 4 jobs. After 6 months, maybe one job was lost, but then after 8 months another job came back. So it's about maybe 2 years of longitudinal of looking at the data. So I'd say around 150,000 is perhaps a number you can take to the bank. Yes.
No
you see what
intended.
I did,
No pun intended. I'll let that slip.
Yes. Now, fine. There is the aspect of you work within training institutions and all that. And the end goal is to make sure that you have a product that is ready for the market. And this goes back to even going now behind how training institutions work, and that would be assessing their curriculum. What are they offering? Because we can't be offering the 21st century solutions using curriculum that is the 18th century. So it is a conversation that perhaps you're having with these institutions, is making sure that as much as we want to have a market-ready student, perhaps we relook at what you're offering as an institution.
No, that is absolutely correct, because like for instance this year, we are hopeful, we're still waiting for the data to come in, but by partnerships with people like the Boma International Hospitality College, right, you'll find partnerships with people like that who have really invested heavily into making sure that the curriculum is ready not just for Kenya for today, but also global for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So those are some of the interventions that we have been putting even into the work that we're doing. Bondeni College, that's another partner that we're working with. Really going down to the ground to see what does the market need. They have invested in their curriculum. And so for us, what we're also on the lookout for are these training partners who are able to really come up with curriculum that is fit for purpose for both employees as well as employers, for the Kenya we're living in today and the Kenya we want to live in 5 to 10 years down the road.
I know several institutions have been working on this. So the Federation of Kenya Employers has been saying that, you know, what we are getting out of our training institutions and what we are doing currently, mismatch. The TVET authority has been saying, okay, we hear you, and we're trying to adjust our curriculum so that then it fits for the purpose. The Ministry of Industry has also been saying, all right, so you guys at education, TVETA, and us guys, industry, let's work together on how to do these things. ILO has also been in this country, and they've also been talking about, all right, the labor market, and so on and so forth. Are you having conversations with these people? Are you in the same room with this? Because as a KCB Foundation, I mean, you're a strong organization. You come from a company that's really strong, and it's one of the core of Kenya KCB Group. Are you helping and supporting these conversations on how they can move towards actually ensuring that across the board, our TVETs, our universities are training for the job market?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we don't just take it as a good thing to do. We take it as, I want to say, almost a moral imperative, right? That if you are in the position to be able to really come up or support good practice, like ILO, what you're talking about, they have a curriculum that I think is really good for training these young people or people who are in enterprise, they start or improve your own business, right? So what we have tried to do with the Tujiajiri program is through our interventions, right? We are trying to make sure that even when we partner with these business development support providers, right, they are actually training using the ILO SI, start or improve your own business curriculum, right? When we have conversations with the TVETs, when we have conversations with our partners in the counties, is also trying to have that conversation like, hey, what are we training in? Are we training in, you know, this curriculum that has been proven to have like really good outcomes? And we are hopeful through our partnerships, through this joint intervention, that collective practice, you now continue to lift what it is that we're providing to young people, because really you didn't ask it, but I'll say it, we really needed to do better in terms of what it is that we are providing to job seekers as well as enterprises in the country.
Yeah, and even the people who are going to the job market, because they are only consuming what you give them. I mean, they're young people, they don't know the better. I mean, what they're being taught is what they think is what will land them a good job. And then they come out and they're told, hauwezi hata kushona. So one of the other challenges that we hear and we even see is that our education institutions are not well equipped, right? So we are talking about skilling, let's say plumbing, electrical work, like you said, hair and beauty. But then you go into this vocational training college that doesn't have modern equipment for training. They are still teaching you how to do it with metallic pipes. And people moved on from metallic pipes a long time ago. We are now on PVC pipes. So how are you supporting them then?
So we are taking a phased approach. And right now, when we partner with training institutions, we usually go and do an assessment in terms of, are you fit for purpose? Also in the counties. And I think it's a variable lot, right? In terms of there's some who have, there's some who don't have, right? So right now our intervention has been with people who have, a modicum of the ability to provide this sort of training. And I think the other thing that you also alluded to in the previous conversation, I think this is something that requires like all hands on deck, right? And there are certain initiatives where you have people who are also coming in to actually kit out these TVETs, this voluntary, this training institutions, especially the public ones. There are also people who are working on the curriculum. And I think for us, what we have chosen to do is to intervene in terms of how do we provide scholarships to the people who have these market-ready skills, right? And to really make sure that this conversation is something that we are supporting. And by consistent funding of this sort of work, it's to also make sure that even these county TVETs have, a guaranteed source of funding even for the training institutions are actually up to par. So I think it's a bit of a phased approach, and also something that we work in collaboration with other actors in this particular space.
And you not only just leave it at the point of fine, we will come back and we give you the knowledge that you need for the market, but you go further to ensuring that you issue capital through for businesses to start, and also toolkits and whatnot. And with all these in play, what are some of the outcomes that you've experienced, and how has this changed the lives of these young people?
So let me speak, for instance, of the toolkits. It's actually on the one hand, I think it's a really phenomenal story. It's also, on the other hand, maybe a slightly heartbreaking one. I don't know if you know Eric and Dennis. If you have a toolkit, you're a construction person, right? Not having a toolkit, if you're a plumber, toolbox, I'll go to Mjengo and I'll have my 400, right? Yep. If I have a toolkit, on the other hand, I can get 1,200. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
800 more just because you came with your own toolbox.
Yeah.
Right.
That's daily, right?
Yep.
So and then of course you can understand how those who have are gonna get 1,200, and those who don't have, you're consigned to the 400, right? So for us, that intervention in terms of how do we make sure people who are exiting these programs also have access to toolkits, because really that is a force multiplier in terms of creating decent jobs, because sometimes it's not enough to create a job, you also have to create a decent job, right? So it's things like those toolkit loans. I think it's also important that I reference the fact that it's also provision to capital, right? In terms of, in any KCB branch across Kenya, we have bank officers who, if you go in as a young person, 18 to 34, and you have a business and you really want to try and make sure that you want to grow your business, you have the possibility of being able to access the Tujajiri loan. That's, as I said, in all branches in KCB Kenya. And then the other one that I think is also important to reference is the fact that we have other partners who we've partnered with to try and see for people who are in certain spaces, especially like the poultry, or especially like the livestock value chain, that they're really able to get access to off-taking of the produce.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the rate on the Tujajiri loan?
So that one, it's usually, because at KCB we take a risk-based approach towards pricing. So it's you as an entrepreneur, you come in, and then what we have done is that we have really made sure that we are our bank officers are really trained to make sure that we interface with you properly, so that you can actually get an honest and good conversation with these young people. And when I say risk-based, we give loans depending on who you are. So your CRB, how long has your business been? Have you gotten this training, which has also now allowed you to maybe even have a better, stronger business, which will also go into what kind of loan that you're given. So it's all of that goes into pricing the loan.
If I've gone through the Tujajiri program and I walk into your bank, do I get better terms?
Do you get?
Better terms. Because I've gone through your program.
I'm a fresh graduate of the Tujajiri program. Yes. I have even been trained on financial literacy. I have come up with a business plan, and I've worked the KCB Tujajiri program. And you've looked at my business plan.
Yes.
Do I get a preferential rate?
So what you get is in terms of, because as I said, the bank is also something that is regulated. The bank is the bank, right? And we are, and the bank is very, very careful in terms of making sure that our shareholder capital is also maintained, right? But what I can tell you for as a fact, right, is that when it comes to financing our young people, that young graduate that you've talked about, you walk through the bank, right? Those factors that you're talking about, right, are taken into consideration when we look at now, when the bank looks at now what kind of loan and what kind of rate are you going to get, right? That is the work that the bank has done, right? You're not just going to be treated as an arbitrary.
So that goes into play.
Yes. It does go into play, right?
Okay.
And that is across all the branches in the country.
I think just looking at it and seeing the kind of work that you've done, it's only 2016 and here we are now. Have you talked about all these many jobs, all these many enterprises that have started, all these many young people that have gone through training and all, I see impact. But I want to challenge you a little bit.
Challenge.
Right? As KCB Foundation, you're not just any other foundation. You are KCB Foundation. You have a lot of impact and a lot of influence, right? So from your education program, because you're really supporting very many people go through school, and we know the kind of challenges that we're having with the school bursary and school funding program, I wish KCB Foundation would actually participate in advocating for better policy on how to best fund our education system, such that the money that you're using now to fund education could go into something else, and there's a better management of our education school funding program. On this other side of the livelihoods, right? And we're talking about how do we make sure that all the people who go post-secondary, 1 million of them, well, slightly less than 1 million, and are going post-secondary into whatever level of tertiary education, that those ones are actually getting trained for purpose, for the job market. And that KCB would be able to use your influence in the room and say, all of you guys come together, let's sit, let's work towards improving.
And I think, Eric, as well, just to buttress what you're saying, I think as well as right now we are grappling with the curriculum, CBC and all that. And as we struggle to get market-ready individuals, perhaps you also demand to have a seat on the table and come up with a curriculum that will make these end product be ready for the market. So it starts from the word go.
Yep. Mandy, you're not a peripheral player.
No.
You're a very big player. Let us feel the impact of the very big player at that policy level. Respond. Kiitikio?
Challenge accepted, and also to say that we do and are in these spaces through the various bodies that we belong to, be it Kenya Bank Association and so on and so forth. So we are working in these spaces, but a challenge is a challenge, and that challenge has been accepted. So I think it's also to have more visibility on what it is that these interventions in these bodies that we belong to, what it is that we have been able to achieve. But really, we as KCB Foundation, I recognize that we are Kenya's largest financial institution, so I really acknowledge that challenge is legit. Yes.
Thank you very much. So if I had got more information about the Tujajiri program, we've been talking about it, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
So from the horse's mouth, we're at KCB Group on all social media. Also our website, KCB Group/foundation. You can find all information there, and thank you, Eric, for that. All information will always and only be disseminated from the official KCB platforms. We are on X, formerly Twitter, we're on Instagram, on the website, various
TikTok.
Numbers. You can reach us in branches. We are everywhere, Eric and Dennis. We are everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. And Eric, let me just throw it out there. You know the very first KCB plate belongs to them, yeah? KCB number plate.
KCB 001.
Yes.
Was it KCB?
Yes.
Yo.
That is correct, Dennis.
KCB 001.
001. KCB Bank.
Okay, that's a good one. Mendy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Eric and Dennis.
Mendy Njonjo is the KCB Foundation Director. We've been talking about the KCB Tutiajiri program. Get more information, go to kcbgroup.com.
Correct.
kcbgroup.com, and you can then /foundation, and you'll get a lot of information about what the KCB Foundation has been doing. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Interior PS Raymond Omolo has termed as unfortunate and unacceptable the violence meted out by police officers against protesters who took to the streets in Nairobi to condemn femicide cases across the country. Omolo acknowledged the importance of the demos, saying they helped sensitize Kenyans against femicide. He said investigations were ongoing and those found culpable would face the law. The protest held on Tuesday saw police tear gas protesters in Nairobi CBD as the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, as announced by President William Ruto, came to an end. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights has also condemned the violence, questioning why the police used brute force against unarmed women who were exercising their right to protest. Kirinyaga County Assembly Speaker Muteti Murimi has raised alarm over resurgence of illicit and counterfeit liquor in the county. Murimi says there is need to step up the fight to eliminate mushrooming, illicit pre-dents and underground markets. He says the liquor control bill has been passed and signed into law, and all liquor vendors will be vetted before being granted new licenses.
County security team tumekuwa na mashida mingi sana ya pombe, na sasa tuko Disemba, tulipitisha sheria, regulations zimekuja, sasa tuko chonjo, na because we are started to license from January, county commissioner tulibadilisha utaratibu venye licenses zinapeanwa. We will sit with their team, we train them, wajue what is expected, so that tufanye kazi mingi.
Trans Nzoia County Commissioner Gideon Oyagi has said that officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations are hunting down a female suspect accused of killing her boyfriend in Kitale. Mercy Masika, alias Nancy Faiza, allegedly stabbed 25-year-old Benedict Kipto to death 2 weeks ago.
Kuna kijana mnasikia aliwawa kule Kibomet, ati aliwawa na msichana kwa sababu sijui ni mambo ya mapenzi. Kuna kijana mwingine na yeye alienda akaua bibi yake, tukapata kaburi hapo karibu na nyumbani. Haya ni masuala ambayo yameanza kuonekana kwa sababu ya zile shida ya kijamii. Sisi kama walinda usalama, uchunguzi tutafanya, tuhakikishe chanzo cha mauaji kama hayo kimejulikana. Lakini na sisi kama wazazi lazima tuangalie ni jinsi gani tutasaidia watoto ili kijana akikataliwa na msichana akubali ya kwamba dunia iko hivyo.
Plans are underway to rename roads in Nairobi after musicians, including Issa, who died in 2003 after he was involved in a road accident. Speaking during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja said the move will honor musicians and ensure their legacy is remembered.
Nairobi is now able to attract major artists locally and internationally. We shall be honoring our artists by renaming some of the roads, and I've spoken to Mheshimiwa Jalas. Our county assembly has dealt with it. For instance, Issa, one of the roads in South Sea, shall be renamed after the great hero Issa, whose brother has performed here today.
Governor Sakaja further said that young people can now shoot content in the city for free as part of the government's strategy to enhance quality and competitiveness of Kenyan creative products for export.
One of the areas we have also seen growth, Your Excellency, is social media and entertainment apps. We want to thank you because you have led from the front. You have engaged YouTube, you have engaged TikTok, you have gone to Hollywood, you have gone to the US to engage many of these people, and our young people can now monetize their talent. talent. It is with this understanding, Your Excellency, that we as Nairobi County continue to allow our young people to produce their content and to shoot content for free in the CBD. Gone are the days when you needed a permit to shoot content in the city, and with this we've seen an exponential growth in this area.
In the US, two famous real estate brokers and their brother have been charged with sex trafficking in a case involving the alleged drugging, assaulting and raping of dozens of women over more than a decade. Prosecutors say Tal and Oren Alexander, who were known for selling high-end properties in New York and Miami, along with their brother Alon, used their wealth to take advantage of women. The brothers were arrested in Florida on Wednesday and are expected to be taken to New York to face the charges. The indictment describes a scheme that involved inviting women to parties as well as using the promise of luxury experiences and travel to lure them to locations in the US and abroad where the alleged assaults happened. They've denied wrongdoing. That's the News Wire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.4 Spice FM.
And traffic this morning in Nairobi, we start with Mombasa Road, where the situation is getting messier by the moment. This is due to the ongoing construction around just opposite Standard headquarters, and that is as you head towards the CBD, towards Airtel. The road has been dug up and the situation is getting worse by the moment. And as we go towards Jogoo Road as well, around Makadara area, going towards the roundabout, city centre roundabout around Bama Square is getting busier at the moment as well. Now railways bus station that is along Landis Road as well is busy, and Waiyaki Way towards the CBD is getting busy at the moment. Around Chiromo area is busy and packed up. Ngong Road is flowing, but as you go towards the Dagoretti corner area is busy due to the ongoing works there as well. But whichever road that you use, remember to be careful. That is the traffic. These are.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
9:08, on to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Friday, the 13th of December, 2024. And yeah, don't worry, Friday the 13th will be done and dusted, it'll be gone. And maybe not another one this year.
I think that
this
thing
is the final Friday the 13th of this year.
It only lasts till midday?
See, it goes.
Goes, yeah?
Up to midday. I don't know. It's not the full day.
I don't think
it's a fool's day. That's up to midday.
Okay.
Friday 13th.
Let's just say until midday.
It's up to midnight.
Yeah.
You keep it there. Our next guest is a doctor, Dr. Angela Migoa. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know of Friday the 13th, right?
Yes, with all the mystery that surrounds it.
What do you know about it? I mean, what's this story?
That there's a lot of doom and gloom, you know. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong on Friday the 13th.
Really?
That's what they say, but I don't know.
You've never experienced that?
No.
How long does it last? Is it up to midday or is it the full day?
Well, I think that's a philosophical question, right? It depends on when your day starts and when your day ends.
Chunga. Daktari is an adolescent health specialist and a consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. She's here so that we have a conversation about adolescent health and suicide prevention, and it's good to have you here, Doc. Karibu sana.
Thank you. It's such an honor, and please allow me to celebrate you and your team for bringing to the forefront this very important yet sensitive topic.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Asante sana. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And because you've been so good, in fact, even coming and even appreciating us, let's appreciate. It's Christmas season.
Daktari, it's Christmas season, right?
Yes.
And Christmas here comes early. Now
Okay.
let's talk about your fruits. How do you like your fruits?
My fruits? What can I say? Nice and well sliced, I guess.
Nice and well sliced,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, I'm going to give you another alternative. Now, we
Okay.
have a partner called Del Monte.
Okay.
Del Monte has taken their time to make sure that the fruit that you like sliced can also be packaged such that you don't have to always eat it. You can drink it. And they do this by making sure that they take their time, go to the best vineyards that there are, select that fruit that has naturally ripened so that they package it for you, making sure that you as a doctor, your nutrition is top-notch, right? And while we talk about it, they ensure that these fruits that they are packaging for you, that you get to drink your fruit, is 100% sugar-free. There are no additives, no preservatives. I know in your field what that means, right?
Yes.
But they are making sure that everything is ready, is good for you to just pick it up and enjoy it. Now, it does not have any colors or flavors. Everything is natural. Now, Daktari, if we just ask, which is your favorite drink or fruit that you like?
I think for me, I'll go with mango.
You go with mango.
Yes.
Now, Del Monte has a lot of varieties there. You can actually even enjoy your best vegetable. I personally love to cook.
Yes.
But now I can even drink my tomato. Yeah. Mango is one of the products that they have. But today, let me just give you a different one. Yeah.
All right.
Let me see what I haven't. Yeah?
Okay. Okay. All right.
No. Dennis, keep the doctor away. Give her apple.
Give her apple. Yeah. So, Daktari, what I'll do,
Yes.
I will give you peach today, and as well make sure that by the time you're leaving, you keep the doctor away by giving an apple. Right? So, at the moment, you enjoy this peach.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
And we say that Del Monte is that product that makes sure that real begets real fruit begets real doctors who make sure that each and everything that they do, we are good for the days to come. Del Monte is that product that will sort out your nutrition, and test buds will be touched the only way they know how to do it.
Thank you so much, and looking forward.
Enjoy. And next time you go shopping, you know what to do.
I know what to do. I know what to pick.
Now, let me welcome you to today's proverb.
Yes.
So the guy who normally sits where you're sitting now is called C.T. Muga. Today he's away.
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing, but we've just decided, Dennis and I, that he's playing golf.
Okay.
So let's go with that story.
All right.
That C.T. is playing golf today.
Okay.
And he'd have given you a proverb from Lesotho, the kingdom of Lesotho. You've heard of about it?
Yes.
It's a kingdom.
Yes.
Now, today's proverb, what the people think cannot be denied. What the people think cannot be denied. What's your interpretation of that proverb? What do you think they're saying?
I think the interpretation of that proverb is that perception is reality. Because if people have a certain perspective on a matter or an issue, that is the reality for them. And so whether it's right or wrong, that becomes another philosophical discussion. And how you address it will depend on how willing you are to accept their reality, even if it's not your reality, but it's their reality, and therefore respect them for it and address the matters within their context. That's how I'd interpret it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why City chose that particular proverb today, but looking at today's headline, which is, as you can see, read it.
Lies versus facts, Ruto's fresh war on critics.
Yeah. Perception is reality. Enough said. So, Daktari.
Yes.
Who is a rheumatologist?
So, the way our bodies have been created, all our organs are held in place by what we call the connective tissue. That is why your heart is just not floating around, your liver is not just floating around, because there's connective tissue holding everything in place. So rheumatology is the field of medicine that studies the diseases that attack the connective tissue that holds everything in place. One of the commonest conditions that we treat is arthritis. So often people, when they hear rheumatology, they think of arthritis. Yes, because one of the key functions of our bones is to hold things in place. Yeah, another key function, of course, is locomotion, movement. And so arthritis is one of the commonest things, conditions rather, that we treat. So a rheumatologist treats diseases that affect the connective tissue. Another unique attribute about our diseases is we've all been blessed with a natural defense system, which we call the immune system. And ideally, it should just be fighting the germs that cause disease. But sometimes, for many reasons, it gets confused and it begins to attack the body itself. All right? So it's like an auto attack. Yeah, your immune is attacking your own body, so autoimmune. So again, another very large spectrum of the diseases we treat are called autoimmune diseases. So that's what we as rheumatologists treat and take care of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But currently at the Ednah University Hospital, in addition to being a consultant pediatric rheumatologist, you're also an adolescent health specialist.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Actually, I was drawn into that field because as I started my practice, I came across a lot of young teenagers complaining of aches and pains in their joints.
Joints.
Yes,
Teenagers.
Right. So, and everyone thought that they had arthritis. But when I would do my assessment, there was no evidence of arthritis, but these children were in debilitating pain. And then when I delved in further, then I realized there were a lot of psychosocial stresses that they were experiencing, which was presenting as pain. And the example I give adults is like, we've all lived quite a while now. We've possibly experienced the loss of a loved one, a friend or a family. Even psychiatrists say that's one of the worst pains you can experience, the loss of a loved one. But when I do your blood level, it'll probably be very normal. If I check how well your kidney and liver are functioning, it'll be normal. But you're experiencing terrible pain. So then I started wondering, so what's going on with these adolescents? And that's when I delved into adolescent health. So adolescent health is about promoting the whole well-being of the adolescent or the teenager, which according to the World Health Organization is total physical, spiritual, mental. And emotional well-being.
This is interesting. Kids would present with what they call pain. And it's debilitating pain, like you're saying.
Yes.
But then you realize that it's stress that is just affecting them.
Correct.
What are the causes of this stress?
There are multiple factors, and I would look at them from a point like a 3-tier level, at a personal level, community level, and then I would say a global level, if I can put it that way. So at a personal level, sometimes you find the children with certain personality traits that predispose them to be more worried or to be more anxious, right? Or they have certain illnesses. Children also have mental health conditions which are not well recognized, okay? And because they're not well recognized, they feel they're not well understood, then they feel frustrated. Another aspect is they could have developmental challenges, right? So their speech is not well developed, they are not able to express themselves, then they're frustrated. Now there's more awareness about conditions like autism and attention deficit, hyperactivity disorders, So those are some of the things at the personal level of the child that could predispose them, to have aches and pains that have nothing to do with any joint disease. Then at the community level, I think this is where now I would say the family comes in, and the immediate surroundings. And children are very observant, right? When the mom and dad are fighting, they see, all right? When there's exchange of unpleasant words, they hear. And sometimes they blame themselves for that. I take care of children with arthritis, and it's a stressful situation, and people deal with it differently. So sometimes the parents are having conflict in just how to manage the child, and the children see, and so then they blame themselves for the conflict.
They feel I'm the burden.
Exactly. And then of course there is what's happening in the society, and I take the example of COVID. COVID, it disrupted everything, isn't it? And there was a lot of stress and strain. People who were not used to living in the same household all of a sudden were locked down, right? And that affected the children. In fact, we know, for example, that children born around the COVID time have had problems in development of speech because they were not able to interact with other children, with their peers, to be able to develop language. And then, of course, then there's what's happening, you'd say, globally or nationally. And, they hear what's happening in the news, right? And in the TV, right? And I remember I had a child who was very fearful, didn't want the father to travel because they had seen recently in the news that a particular a child lost their parent after a car hijack, and the father died, right? So all those build up to add stress and strain on the child. Let's not forget cyberbullying. That is now something that's really key in the schools. Sometimes you have excess punishment. That's a source of strain, right? Bullying in the school. So all those have an effect on how the child would present and how they deal with those various stresses at the different levels.
And Doc, stats indicate that mental cases, especially around the young people, is increasing by the numbers.
Yes.
And someone would beg to ask, what are some of the factors that are leading to these increased numbers?
Yeah. So, actually the figures can be horrifying because it's stated that about 44% of teenagers are battling with mental health problems. 44%. Meaning 4 out of every 10 are battling with some form of mental health problem or challenge. So what are the risk factors for this? One is, the child or the teenager could be having a mental health disorder that has not been identified. They also get depressed. They also have anxiety. They also could be bipolar. They could be schizophrenic. Schizophrenia is where you have a split from, actually it's linked to your quote. Schizophrenia, I could say that I'm the Queen of Sheba, and I believe I'm the Queen of Sheba, right? But the reality is, that doesn't exist. So in schizophrenia, there's a split in what you believe and actually...
what you think cannot be denied.
Yes, So they could have a schizophrenia. Another thing that we cannot rule out is infections, right? Because infections can also drive them to have bizarre behaviors and drive them to even mental disorders like HIV infection, for example. We know that it can drive them to have mental health problems. Again, the issue of chronic pain. So children who are subjected to chronic pain, for example, in conditions like arthritis, again, that puts them at risk. Let's not forget what I said earlier, when there is conflict within their immediate surrounding, again, that's a risk factor. Substance and drug abuse. That's another big elephant in the room. And it's a vicious cycle because you are in pain for whatever reason, yeah? Maybe there's bullying, there's conflict in the home, you're frustrated with your performance, or you've broken up with your girlfriend, relationship issues. So you're in pain and you want to numb your pain. And so you look for something to give you a high and make you forget. And you take these substances, cocaine, marijuana, alcohol. It gives you that temporary relief. But then when the effects wean off, you feel more empty. And then now you desire and crave for more. So it becomes a very vicious cycle. So we can't rule out the impact and the effect of substance abuse. Yeah.
I'm listening to this, what you're saying.
Yes.
And I'm looking back at my teenage years. And I ask myself, I don't remember encountering any of my peers who was in debilitating pain because of any of these factors.
Yeah.
Do you? No. As you're growing up, do you? As you were growing up?
No, Eric.
So what's happening? Are we raising weaker children?
Let me speak about the medical profession. Because sometimes it's easy to point fingers at other people and not look at yourselves. And I was having this conversation with my colleagues also, as you know, we've had young doctors who've taken their lives, and may they rest in peace, and my sincere condolences to their families. And someone was saying it could be because of lack of money. And I said, yes, that's a factor, but it's not the only factor, because I recall also, just like you, Eric, when we were doing our internship, it was known our salaries would come like 6 months after we started.
And you've been posted to Okoh, the farthest of the farthest places from home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that time, maybe your parents are taking care of other siblings, or they have done their best. Now it's for you to stand on your feet, right? And when the boom would come.
And as far as they know, you're a daktari. They came for your graduation.
Of course. They came for your graduation.
They're expecting you to send something.
Of course. And, during those 6 months, it was tough. But I remember, like, for me personally, there was a lot of camaraderie amongst my fellow interns. So, someone would travel and visit their parents over the weekend. They come back with some nice maize or some chicken, and then we share.
And go share for everybody.
And we share. And I also don't recall anyone who took their life during that turbulent time. So we have to ask ourselves some critical questions. One, is it that we are not equipping them with resilient skills to navigate challenges, because we cannot escape from challenges? And then, in pediatrics, we say children do what they see, not what they are told. So we're here basically saying, the young doctors, how are they not coping? But have we modeled for them? And I said, I'm picking intentionally my fraternity. So have we modeled for them strategies to navigate challenges, right? And then thirdly, I don't have the answers, Eric. I'm just putting out some questions there for reflection. Thirdly is what you just mentioned in passing, the expectations. Here you are, you don't have a salary for 6 months. Somebody is knocking on your door to help them pay school fees for someone, and it's somebody who you hold dear, you would love to help, right?
You're a doctor, you're working, as far as you know.
Oh, yes.
We came for your graduation, you're a doctor, and you have been posted to a hospital, you're working.
Exactly. You're raking in the millions as far as they are concerned. So the expectations on you are also insurmountable, and then that adds stress, right? And then the other thing is even just the microenvironment where they are working, right? What is the culture of that workplace? Is it enabling? Is it oppressive? We say you cannot give what you don't have. So if all that is within you is oppression, frustration, here is somebody who was not able to afford a meal, and here you are being difficult and harsh with them, and they don't have their salaries, and their resilient skills are not top-notch because nobody modeled it for them. Do you see how it's a recipe for disaster? Right? So we have a lot to do.
So if we take that, we can also just mirror it with the teenagers that we're talking about today, the adolescents that we're talking about today.
Yes.
It's they're not getting the support that they need, the psychosocial support as they're growing up.
That's it.
That can give them the shock absorbers.
That's it. Yes.
And so the pain basically is just hitting.
Yes.
It's the vehicle hitting the ground.
Yes.
Without shock absorbers and springs.
That's it. That's an excellent analogy. There are no shock absorbers. And the human person is not created to be in isolation.
Yeah.
This is something we forget. Yeah. We exist in a fabric of humanity, right? So my well-being is significant for your well-being, Eric. Yeah. For the team here that's responsible for making sure that this room is clean, for the security guard downstairs. And when we are cognizant of that, then there's no small act that is useless. There's no kind word that goes in vain, because you don't know what you would have done for that individual. And the cyberspace is great. You can have a lot of impact like what you people are now doing, but you have to guard against it so that it doesn't isolate you from your community and your society. Yeah, because then when you're isolated, you don't have the shock absorbers you're talking about, Eric, and the springs to help absorb the challenges you face. And then the only way out to end your pain is to say, you know what, this life isn't worth it.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Sad. It's 9:30. Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. We are talking about adolescent health and suicide prevention and what needs to happen, what kind of linkages and partnerships we need to think about. Dr. Angela Migoa is an adolescent health specialist and consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Okoh University Hospital. Dennis,
yes,
please tell her about flying better, the Emirates business, right?
Angela,
yes. Eric, you're now putting undue pressure now on me. You're mounting the pressure.
I'm helping you.
You're helping me.
Now, Daktari,
Yes,
you
Dennis.
can travel to over 140 destinations to anywhere in the world using the Emirates. And the experience at the Emirates does not just start while you're flying. It starts before you get to that flight. And this is because Emirates has made sure that you are able to get chauffeur services. Someone will pick you up from your door and take you to the airport before you get into that flight. But this flight that you're talking about is your flying Emirates business. Now, at Emirates Business, you have an opportunity to have your own space where you're not sharing it with anyone. There is no fight for, this is my armrest. It is your own space. It is your little world in that flight. And while at it, if you feel tired, you want to rest, it's not a question of, do I have a leg room? No, you're not fighting with anyone.
No.
You can, in fact, lie flat. Yeah, you lie flat. And with that, if you want to sleep, they have pajamas that you can take with you at home. They give you duvet, but duvet you leave for them, right? But let's take it even a notch higher. You want to enjoy your meal. What are you served? The best there is, Eric, it's called a la carte.
A la carte cuisine.
Yes, cuisine. You get to choose whichever it is you want. The drinks that you're served are top notch. If you want Del Monte mango, they will give it to you because that is what they have.
That's what they have.
And even when you are up there and you want to talk to your clients, you have this child who's going through a lot and you are responding to them via mail. Wi-Fi. Huwezi maliza daktari. Wi-Fi in abundance.
I can have a teleconsult in the air.
Whichever way you want it, And let's take it even further. You're tired, you want to rest, you want to watch movies. The database that they have of the amount of movies that you can watch, daktari, to Timbuktu and back, and still more movies that you can enjoy up there. This is all curated for you to enjoy, and when you get down, you've landed. There is no jet lag because you've rested your entire journey. And when you land, there's another chauffeur to pick you up and take you to the next destination. Eric. Daktari.
Maisha London.
Maisha London. Only Emirates does it the best way.
Fly better. with Emirates. 27 minutes to 10. Let's take this quick break, take a look at the weather and traffic. Tell us about the shovels and trowels and how much they've dug up the road. Hey, have you seen that, Doc?
I saw it.
Mombasa Road is...
bumper to bumper.
Wayakiwe is a hole. All these guys, God only knows them. Sawa too.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This festive season, gift yourself the magic of realness. Because whether it's a laugh, a cry, or a gasp, it's better when it's shared. With Del Monte, the real moments are more enjoyable. Drink up and make merry with those who keep it real this 12 days of Christmas and beyond. This festive season, it's not about what's under the tree. It's about the real joy we create around it.
Made from 100% real fruit juice with no added sugar or preservatives. Enjoy Del Monte. Real, recognize real.
A new level of comfort in business class with daily flights from Nairobi to Dubai and beyond. Stretch out and relax in flatbed seats, enjoy delicious fine dining and explore up to 6,500 channels of entertainment. From Dubai, you can experience the Emirates A380, where you can connect over cocktails in the exclusive onboard lounge. In Emirates Business, you've arrived the moment you board. Book now at emirates.com. Fly Emirates, fly better.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
The weather with SpiceFM.
And the weather. Nairobi experiencing highs of 27 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Now Kakamega County is experiencing highs of 29 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. Now Mombasa City highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Nyeri County highs of 26 degrees and lows of 13 degrees. Now we go to the lakeside city of Kisumu, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. Across the border to Kinshasa, Congo, DRC, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 22 degrees. Kampala, Uganda, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 19 degrees. Dar es Salaam, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 27 degrees. And Dongcheng in China, highs of 4 degrees and lows of -6 degrees. Pretty cold in China. That's your weather. And traffic in Nairobi is getting busier by the moment. If you are approaching the CBD using Uhuru Highway near the Haile Selassie roundabout, there is diversion due to the construction that is ongoing there, and it is packed up bumper to bumper. And further up towards between Cabanas area and Eka there is a lot of traffic due to the ongoing construction around Mombasa. Pretty much Mombasa Road is just one big construction site. Shovels and trowels are doing their job there. But other roads, that is Landis Road, as you approach the CBD as well, is busy, especially around the August 7th Memorial Park. It is packed. Be sure to be careful as you approach there. Now, Thika Road around Muthaiga Square and Pangani, another notorious area, and it is very busy as we speak. Wayaki way towards CBD, traffic is moving. Gong Road is moving as well, but it's expected to get busier by the moment, especially around Gong Road, that is Dagoretti Corner, due to the ongoing construction as well. Be careful on the roads.
Intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
That's it.
Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
20 minutes, our conversation with Dr. Angela Migoa from the Aga Khan University Hospital continues. Dr. Ari, I know you've been to Sarit. It's now called Sarit, your city, right? Do you get lost in there?
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I almost feel like I need Google Maps.
Every time you go in there, it depends which entrance you use.
Exactly.
Are you on the first floor, the second floor, the third floor? But the good thing is that in there, they have all those maps that show you you're here. And this is what else you can get.
Yes.
But the good thing about that is because it's so big, it has so many outlets. There are many shops. That means when you get into Sarit City, your shopping is complete. You can purchase end to end everything that you need for your family, especially during this festive season. So between November 28th and January 15th, a step into the magical world of dazzling decor, meet Santa, the Grinch, and Rudolph, spreading cheer from December to the 25th over Christmas. And there's also something that they've done because they know that you like giving. You, Dr. They have come up with something called Africa's first ever Light the World Giving Machine.
Wow.
So it's like those vending machines that you have at Aga Khan University Hospital.
Yes.
See those ones?
Yes.
Where you buy chocolate, you buy soda, you buy those things. So it's the same kind of vending machine. This time, though, instead of chocolate and all those others, what you're seeing is a meal, a goat, a beehive, chicken, school education support.
Wow.
And if you select any, it tells you how much it will cost. If for example, you select a meal, that means a family is going to get a meal thanks to your
the donation
support.
That you've given.
Yeah. Or a goat. Or a beehive. Yeah. So they have partnered with several NGOs that are dealing with communities in various ways.
Yeah.
So just walk in there, it's on the second floor.
That's amazing.
It's the second floor of Sarit. Which one is second floor?
We'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So go to Sarit, your city, and also, by the way, download the Sarit Loyalty app. It helps you with very many things. One, navigation in the mall. You can tells you are here. Okay. Second thing is it helps you pay for parking. It helps you transfer family points. It helps you earn and redeem some points. And you can also send digital vouchers to your loved ones. So you don't even have to go to Sarit.
Yeah.
You can do that.
You can do it from the comfort of wherever you are.
Yes. Yes. So back to our conversation about adolescent health.
Yes.
And suicide prevention. And we're saying that, because of the days that we're living in, our youth are actually facing some serious stress. But also they're lacking the support that, a community should give. They're spending a lot of time on their gadgets. They're assuming because they're playing a game with somebody on the other side, they're interacting.
Yes.
That because they're on social media and they're posting content and people are liking and commenting, that they're interacting. But you're saying that what we need is a physical interaction.
Yes.
A lot of physical interaction.
Yes.
Okay, here's my pushback. Adolescents are in school. Every day in a school term, there's physical interaction.
Yeah. So that brings us to the important role that schools play in the well-being of our children, because they spend actually a lot of time there. And there are various strategies that can help, right? Let me give the example of a lady when she's pregnant. She knows that in 9 months' time the baby will be coming. So then they start preparing, isn't it? Where are we going to go for the clinics? Where are we going to deliver? In the case of an emergency, who are we calling? They even pack a little bag so that in case of anything, we are good to go.
Good to go.
Isn't it? Right? She goes to the clinic and they do the scans to make sure the baby is okay so that there are no surprises during the delivery. Correct?
Yes.
So the same strategy should be implemented even when it comes to the well-being of our adolescents, the mental health in schools. It will be important to have a policy in place which is in line with the rules and regulations and the constitution of the day. Okay? Then the other important thing is their staff and personnel should be trained. They should be trained so that they can be empowered to identify these children, right? What are the signs and symptoms? If you find someone was really involved in sports, was an A student, and all of a sudden they're sitting in a corner, they don't talk to people, they're not playing in sports, you can't just label the child as being naughty, right?
Truant.
Yeah, truant. No, what exactly has happened? So staff to be trained to identify these children. Now, you just don't train people to identify. You then have to empower them to act. So you develop care pathways, you know. I'll borrow, like, for example, in pneumonia in children, we know very well that if you see a child is breathing fast, all right, you worry about pneumonia. Right, a child is coughing. You see, even you people know, that you worry about pneumonia. So the next thing is say, okay, your child has pneumonia. Your care pathway. Let's go to the closest hospital, isn't it? You won't sit pretty with the child, right? Go to the hospital. When you reach the hospital, they'll also check, okay, what are your oxygen levels? Do you need antibiotics? Do we need to support you with oxygen? So a similar concept, right? When you identify, then what is the pathway, right? The care pathway. And one thing to keep in mind about patients or children or adults who are contemplating suicide, it's an illness, you know. So just like the way you're not angry at someone who has pneumonia, do you get offended when someone has pneumonia? No. If anything, you have empathy.
Yes.
Isn't it? Like, oh my goodness, let's see what we can do to support you. That's the same sentiment we should have for our brothers and sisters who are contemplating suicide. It's an illness. Even those who have got substance abuse, it's an illness. So to help them, empathy is key. Right? Empathy is key so that you can walk the journey with them. So those are some strategies that can be in place. Other hardwired things are, of course, to ensure that there's no bullying. Those are the things that tip off people. Ensure that the living conditions for the children are optimum, right? So ensure that the sanitary areas are okay, the bed is okay, you know. Those are a little bit simpler to deal with compared to the other things that I mentioned earlier.
But Doc, as we talk about having a personnel that understands how to go about it and all this, there also comes the responsibility, or rather the difficult part of this individual who is unwell seeking these services, and it is difficult for them to speak up due to the stigma that is there in the society. Therefore, how do we start by eliminating and dealing with this stigma so that this individual who is unwell can come up and speak and seek the services and assistance, help that they need?
That's a good point. You know, most of the time, there are many reasons that can lead to stigma, but most of the time it's because people don't even understand the problem well. Let me give you a very personal example. For me, when the pandemic began, you know, we didn't even have the vaccines, right? And I think this is what's so amazing about our profession. Like, it didn't matter from the youngest doctor to the oldest doctor, youngest nurse to the oldest nurse, you know, everybody came faithfully, you know, to work. But then I realized when I'd go to other social circles, people were keeping a distance from me because they knew where I work. They knew we were handling those cases. And they knew we didn't have any vaccines. So people were keeping a safe distance from me. So people didn't understand the disease very well. Of course, things have changed as we moved along. So one key area to mitigate against stigma is education and awareness. See, just like I shared with you, it's an illness. So the way to handle them is with empathy. That's one, right? And then the other key thing about the stigma now, also the issue of policy. Right? Having policy in place, you know. For example, we've had a very great policy in tackling diseases like TB, right? Where you've got community health workers trained to identify and they can refer. So again, having a similar policy in place could help break the stigma on that. So those are some strategies we could employ. Another important strategy, I'm in science, data. We say data is the fuel of the 21st century. If we can show that you're not the only one, in fact, there are many more like you, right? Then you're like, oh, so it's not just this child who's a naughty child, or it's not just this relative who's been difficult. There's actually a problem. So having registries and collecting data to showcase to the community, to the governments, to the society, look, this is the issue. Let us find strategies to help this group of patients. Yeah.
So you have all these, let's say, the interventions are in place in school.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
This is somebody's child.
Yes.
They're going through all these things.
Yeah.
It is somebody's child.
Yes.
At what point do you involve the parent?
Yeah.
And how do you involve the parent?
We say in the medical fraternity, an attempt at suicide is a medical emergency. It's a medical emergency. Just like the way if somebody was to walk in here and they're in shock, this show would stop and we run and take them to the hospital. It's a medical emergency. So the minute the school authorities have realized this, or the boss at the workplace has realized someone is having suicidal tendencies, it's an emergency. But what are the signs? First, what are the signs? Because sometimes people don't even know.
Yeah.
So what are the signs? And you can think of it from 3 pillars. I will say talk, feel, act. When someone is considering suicide, they start talking about it. That's normally the first thing. So they'd say like, problems of this life are too many. Maybe it's better just to sleep and never wake up. Those kind of comments. Or like these days, I have problems waking up in the morning. I just don't want to wake up. I want to sleep and sleep forever.
I just want to go and never come back.
Yes, they talk. Then the next thing, feel. All of a sudden, I feel so hopeless. This world is just a lot of doom and gloom. It's not a secret. Even if you read the history of pandemics, from the smallpox to plague and what we experienced with the COVID, the economic downturn we're experiencing was bound to happen. All right? And that can then make people just feel this is just the end of the road, right? So they feel hopeless, despair. Then, if they have not gotten help, somebody hasn't picked and tried to support them, now they start acting. So you start seeing very bizarre behavior, like driving very fast, on a highway, and you can see, do you want to crash into a car? Or all of a sudden, they are drinking 2-3 bottles of whiskey at a go. You're like, what's going on here? Right? Or they are popping pills. You're like, what's going on? So normally that's the trajectory. And normally at the stage of where they're talking and feeling, it's like a cry for help. They don't even know it's a cry for help. But for those who are sensitive, they realize something is not right here. So anyway, back to your question. So the point when you realize a teenager is having those tendencies, the parent should be contacted promptly because it's an emergency. They should be empowered to identify the signs. The next critical step is to just tell them and show them you love them, you care for them, and you're here to help them. A lot of the things we do, like you said it, Eric, you're posting something, 1,000 likes, and I don't know how many emojis. We all have an inherent desire to be appreciated, to be loved and respected. It doesn't matter the age or status. So reassure them with that. The other thing that would be important after that, the environment. Ensure the environment is not enabling for them to carry out any of those dangerous acts. So if you have a bar in the house, please get rid of the alcohol, right? If you have a balcony, ensure it's safe, nobody can topple over, okay? And then have a rescue plan in place. I go back to the example of the lady who's expectant, right? So that in the event this happens, who do I call? Where do I go? What are the emergency things I can do at home or in the school, right? That's what we can do at an individual level when we have these kind of cases. And you can't do it alone. Remember, reach out to the experts, most of the time the psychiatrists and the counselors, to walk this journey with you. Yes.
My question was heading here. That many parents will be in denial. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're basically telling me that somebody who is not my co-parent for this child has noticed something that I haven't noticed. And therefore they already feel exposed. That the teacher is calling to tell me, and they tell me, I have noticed that so-and-so has been doing like this, like this, like the other. You're sort of sounding like you're accusing me of having not noticed. And yet this child comes back to my house every day. So the first thing, of course, that the parent will do is deny. It's like, no.
It's not possible.
Yeah, try and fight it. So how is it that this person in school would break it down to the parent so the parent actually sees that we are working together to support this child?
So a strategy that's now very important, and I don't know how the training of teachers is, but we use it a lot in medicine because we also have similar scenarios. I face that a lot. I'm telling someone that your 10-week-old baby has arthritis. They think I'm crazy, and I don't know what I'm doing. So one strategy that works here is motivational interviewing. Right? It's a skill where, because you as the teacher or the healthcare worker or the other member of the community, you have identified there's an issue. You cannot fix that issue alone. That guardian is key. So in motivational interviewing, you don't tell the guardian that, this is the problem. No. You pose questions that make them reflect and allow them to come to the realization that you're actually right. There's a problem. And that's the best way, because for them to move with you, they need to buy into the matter that actually there is a problem. So one strategy is to employ motivational interviewing. Another strategy I have found that is very powerful, this is from my experience when I treat children with arthritis. At the Aga Khan, we have workshops where we educate the children on how to treat their arthritis, how to manage their medicines, using play, games, and toys. It's called the Therapeutic Patient Education Workshop. Another very important strategy I've seen is when the child involved is brought into that safe space. It has to be a safe space, non-judgmental, and the child is allowed to express themselves in front of the guardian. I find that very powerful, because it's not just me as an expert teacher or doctor saying it, right? The parent is hearing from their child. That often strikes a chord with their heart, and they're like, okay, there's a challenge. We might not know how to sort it. Let's get help. I would propose those two strategies. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Yeah. And there is always the subject of access to healthcare and access to services that continues to be a problem across this country. And in terms of just making sure that these problems are addressed, I mean, starting from the policy aspect all the way, especially on mental illness, how should we go about it as a republic, not just as professionals or as parents with sick children?
So we can look at it, from the Republic point of view. I think if we're able to come up with a policy, right? A policy in place, just like the way we did when we were battling with HIV, battling with TB, isn't it? Right? We had a policy in place that allowed people to diagnose the problem, to get treatment to the problem, and follow up. They would follow you. Have you taken your TB medicine? We used to call it direct observed therapy strategy, DOTS. Have you taken? It should be the same, follow through. So having a policy in place, right? But, not just our policy, but resources to follow the policy, isn't it? Resources to follow the policy so that healthcare is not just a matter of the buildings and the equipments and the medicines, but the personnel, right? The personnel, so that they can know how to identify and respond appropriately. And then the community, any successful relationship is based on trust. And that's why the traditional healer will probably have more clients than the doctor in the clinic, because he's trusted, isn't it? So, one thing we can borrow from our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe, there's a great doctor, Dr. Dixon Chibanda, and he had an unfortunate incident where a suicidal patient couldn't reach him in the capital in Zimbabwe for treatment, and the patient unfortunately died. And he came up with something that even now is celebrated globally. It's called the Friendship Bench. And in his Friendship Bench program, he has trained community health workers to be able to identify people with depression, carry out what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're just changing the mindset of the individual based on how they view their issues, right? And like that, he's been able to increase the access of mental health services, by tapping into the community healthcare workers. So I give that example so that, fine, you can have policies, we can have the resources, but for successful relationship to transform health, trust is critical. And so engaging the community so that whatever you offer is applicable and acceptable in their context, right? Not just you talking down on them. And then the other thing that will be important is the advocacy and awareness so that we break the stigma, just like we have done with TB and HIV right now. So we can also do the same for our brothers and sisters battling with suicide and other mental health problems and other non-communicable diseases.
Dr. Ali, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Come again soon, right?
Yes.
Wish you all the best. Have lovely holidays.
Yes.
If you're working, if you're not working, just enjoy it with your family.
Thank you.
Dr. Angela Migoa is an adolescent health specialist and consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Okoh University Hospital. We've been talking about adolescent health and suicide prevention. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today and this week. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Monday, Dennis will be here. City will have played his golf. Ndu will be all right. And I'll be here. I'll be away.
Jerusalem.
I'll be in Jerusalem. Naenda kukaribisha Yesu. Naenda Bethlehem. It's a minute after 10. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Spice up your life.
This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Large-scale dairy farmers in the Rift Valley have opposed government plans to vaccinate animals from January, saying the move is suspect and of no use. The farmers insist that it's wrong for the government to force the vaccination